The story originates in front of a large-sized door. A guy of medium height looks at her in silence. The guy opened the large doors, getting into a space with huge ceilings. He looked up and said that this place was a dungeon he had created. A few hours earlier, a lot of people had gathered in a large room. This guy was talking about how this place is just huge, that it would fit 10 halls the size of his village. Suddenly, he heard someone whispering behind him. He fell silent awkwardly. The guy suggested that these people think that he is just a village ignoramus, but he could not deny the true facts. This guy was a representative of a demonic race named Archon Chrono. The academy that trains demons is located inside the castle of the Demon King. All demons who have reached the age of 20 must visit this place for 1 year to learn the basics, and today was a memorable first day of the academy's work. Archon turned around and thought that he had never left the village before. He had never imagined that there would be so many different demonic races. Suddenly, his gaze fell on a demon whose hands were covered with scales. He was delighted because this is a race of dragons. He did not notice how, in his defeat, he accidentally ran into one of the demons of the dragon race. He immediately walked away and apologized. The formidable dragons turned and looked at the guy who had fallen to the floor. The dragon arrogantly asked Archon what was wrong with him. He also noted that the guy doesn't look like a demon at all. He asked if this was a pathetic person in front of him. Archon got up from the floor and dusted himself off. The hero raised his hair and said that he was a pure-blooded devil. His horns were small, but the dragon still had to see them. Noticing this, the arrogant demon laughed out loud, saying that he had never even heard of such a frame of demons. Suddenly, he grabbed Archon by his clothes, which somewhat surprised the guy. The dragon asked why the guy didn't just go back to his mother before the real demon trampled him to the floor. Archon wasn't even a bit surprised. Noticing that the guy grabbed the dragon by the arm, the second was surprised. He tried to pull his hand out of Archon's grip, but he couldn't. He loudly asked the guy what he was doing, because he was in pain. Archon, with a wide smile, asked if the dragon was born in the city. He was genuinely amazed, because this is his first acquaintance with someone from the city, and he is very touched. He gripped the dragon's hands tightly. The demon was taken aback, and tried to pull away while Archon was saying that it was too incredible, because he had always wanted to meet a demon like a dragon. The embarrassed dragon pushed Archon away and told him to leave, after which he hurriedly left, saying what a nasty type he was. The unknown asked if he was okay. The guy was surprised and said that he was fine, after which he asked who it was. The sweet girl smiled, because Archon is fine. The guy blushed, thinking about how beautiful she was. He was only amazed at the idea that he could make friends with such a girl. Suddenly he turned very red. The stranger asked what happened. Archon exclaimed that it was a good thing she hadn't hurt herself. Suddenly, the demons noticed that something had started. A demon came out into the center, noting that everyone was assembled. His name was Dante, and he was a representative of the Academy's faculty. He said that in a few moments they would start a test that would determine the class in which the demons would be. The demons were surprised to conduct the test in a place where there are no desks or assignments. Dante said that they are not human, but demons, so the test will be related to magic. He pointed to the column and said that this was the necessary material for the test. Using a clear example, he decided to show everything quickly. He touched the pillar. The demons were surprised. Suddenly, the column began to crack under his hand. The column broke with a loud crack. The demons around were amazed by this. Dante didn't use his powers at all. He confessed that he was the one who created this hall and the dungeons. When someone thinks fast, wanting to break something or expand it by infusing magic into it, the dungeon will respond to the call. He used restoration, after which the column became the same. Archon was amazed. Dante said that as the demons saw, the column was restored. From what he said, the demons should have understood the basics of dungeon management. Now he said they needed to put it into practice. And everyone will be tasked with developing their own dungeon. The demons were surprised at how they would be distributed. Dante said that Gildy Agni from the Cerberus tribe would be the first to start. The guy was surprised that he was the first. Dante told Gildy to think carefully about what type of dungeon he wanted to create after collecting magic in his hand. Then he needs to touch the core of the basics. The size of the dungeon depends on its magical potential. The dungeon he will create will be his home for the next year, and he must think carefully about it. Gildy said, the more the better. He touched the stone with his hand, after which it shone brightly and dazzlingly. Dante noticed that the guy had reached 6 levels, which is very good for the first time. Gildy will be sent to a special class. The demons around were amazed by this event. while Gildy himself thought that with this he would definitely be among the best. Next were the demons, who gained 3 or 2 levels each. There was also someone who stood out and scored 6 levels, which is why he also got into a special class. Archon was thinking about his own home. Being honest, the guy thought that a small room with a toilet would be enough for him. Dante began to announce the next test subject. Dante said that Sophia Grave of the vampire family would be next in line. The girl came forward. Upon hearing this name, many demons were amazed. They couldn't believe that they were entering the same year with someone from such a famous family. Archon thought he was cute. He did not know at all what kind of family it was. The girl put her hand on the stone and said she was going to start, but suddenly Dante stopped her. Looking at the hourglass, he noticed that the core of the basics seemed to be running out soon, and he would replace it. He quickly replaced the old core with a new one. Dante said that the new core is designed to create about 300 dungeons, and that should be enough. He apologized for the delay and said that the girl could continue. She gently agreed to this. She slowly walked up to the core and put her hand on it, after which a bright light filled the entire room. Dante was amazed because Sophia had summoned 10 levels. He couldn't have imagined that someone could create a double-digit dungeon in their first attempt. He said that the vampire family, as you know, has always been famous for its talent for magic, but this was something incredible. He said that Sophia would be sent to a special class. With a smile on her face, the girl thanked him. Gildy was at a loss. Dante said it must have been the last one being checked. He said they would be briefed soon, but for now they are free. Archon was surprised. He exclaimed that he had not passed the test yet. Dante apologized by naming the guy. He said that the devil family was quite rare, and besides he was the last one, so Dante didn't notice the guy. The demon started saying that he was a loser, and his trial would be right after the princess. Sophia smiled when she saw Archon. Gildy said Archon was weird. Even if it was said that he was from the devil family, in Gildy's opinion he looked more like a human. He wanted to see the show. Smiling contentedly, Archon resolutely held out his hand, palm forward, and said that he was starting. Dante thought that the best result of the first test would be Sophia's, which was expected. Suddenly he began to think about Archon's homeland. He was surprised that someone from the demon race lived in such a place. At this time, Archon put his palm on the stone and thought that he just needed to imagine a small house with 4 rooms. He was at a loss because he had not noticed the reaction of the core. Nothing happened. Everyone froze in anticipation. Gildy laughed, saying that he could not even think that Archon could not create even 1 level. Dante was wary. Suddenly the core went dark. After that, an even brighter flash of light appeared, which blinded the shocked Archon and everyone in the room. Everyone was surprised when they noticed the black light. The demons tried to close their eyes. Some fell, unable to hold on. Archon turned back in amazement, asking what had happened. Everyone was amazed to see that the core had turned black. Dante couldn't believe his eyes. Around him, many spaces continued to appear. 100 turned into 2, and 2 turned into 4. He looked at Archon, who had his hand on the stone. Dante was genuinely amazed, thinking that this was a Demon King level dungeon. Archon lowered his hand and smiled awkwardly, asking about the test results. Sophia, sitting on the floor, asked in amazement what he had just done. Archon was surprised that even she asked. He said he was just trying to do what the others were doing. The demons were running away, asking if everything would be okay. Suddenly, he heard someone shouting. Dante exclaimed that the test determining their class could be considered completed at this point, and they had better leave the hall immediately. He shouted that Archon Chrono had managed to create 400 levels, and he was the best student who entered. The guy was awkwardly silent. Other demons said that Archon was dangerous. They didn't understand who he was, because it was almost impossible for a demon to create so many levels on the first attempt. Archon was upset, because now everyone was avoiding him. One of the dragons said that the guy was as crazy as they were. Gildy stated that Archon was just lucky. 2 twins came up to the guy and said he was amazing, and they were very surprised. Archon perked up and thanked them. He asked if they would mind becoming friends. The twins smiled awkwardly and said that it was a little strange to be his friends because he was too incredible, and now they were not his equal. Archon fell silent. He constantly dreamed about how he would spend his days at the academy with his friends, but at this rate he would have no friends at all. Archon was very upset. The guy took a deep breath and wondered if he was doomed to spend the whole year alone. Suddenly, at the moment of his sadness, someone turned to him. Archon turned around and saw Sophia. She said he was just amazing. The girl asked how he managed to create such a huge dungeon. Archon awkwardly turned to Sophia and said that he hadn't done anything special. She awkwardly said that she was very surprised because that magic was too powerful. She admitted that she was a little jealous. She came closer and asked if he would mind being friends with her. Archon was surprised by this suggestion. Sophia was absolutely serious. She asked if it was possible that he didn't want to be friends. The guy immediately grabbed her hands and said he wanted to. It was a great honor for him to be her friend. He immediately moved away and, blushing, apologized. The girl said that he didn't need to be so formal and he could just call her by her first name. Chrono agreed and asked if they should have a lecture now. Sophia confirmed this and said they could go together. Suddenly, someone caught the guy by the shoulder. Dante asked the guy for a minute because the Demon King is waiting for him. Dante said that the guy could become a hero of their academy and maybe even a savior. Chrono was at a loss. At this time, someone was walking down the corridor with a smile. A nice girl came into the office. The girl called Professor Dante with a smile and said that she was already aware of everything. When she saw the Chrono, she asked if it was him. The guy noticed that he had not seen this girl before and thought she was a student. Dante said it was like that, and it was the devil Archon Chrono. Archon was surprised and exclaimed that this child could not be a demon king, and it was ugly. Dante said that the guy should be more polite to the demon king. The girl said that everything was fine. She laughed and went over to the Chrono, saying that everything was right. She is the 15th, the current demon king, and her name is Lisa Multi-Helanix. She was pleased to meet him. The guy didn't understand how a girl like her could be a demon king. He felt that the world on the other side of his village was too amazing. He bowed and said it was nice to meet you too. Lisa did not want these formalities. She asked him to call her by her first name while she called him Chrono. She asked how he liked the idea. He thought she was too cute. The guy agreed with this proposal. The girl sat down and said that now they should talk about the dungeon created by Chrono. It was too incredible. Dante said that creating 400 levels is unprecedented. The power of the Chrono has overflowed the core of the foundations, as a result of which they are forced to change it again. The guy thought about it and said that he still thinks it's some kind of mistake. He was just an ordinary demon who lived in a village far away from there. Lisa was deep in thought, looking at the guy. She got up and turned seriously to the Chrono. The guy felt awkward and asked what she needed. The girl smiled cunningly and asked the guy to let her touch his body. Chrono was very surprised. He moved away from Lisa and asked why she needed it. The girl said that everything was fine and he shouldn't worry. The guy exclaimed that her hands were moving strangely. Smiling, the girl caught the guy's head and hugged him. Dante just watched in silence. Lisa said that everything was fine, and he just needed to stay like this for a little longer. The guy was red with embarrassment. Suddenly, he thought that he felt very soft, as if his mother was hugging him. He was warm. After a while, Lisa exclaimed that it was incredible, and she was very amazed. Despite the fact that he looked very much like a human, the power just overwhelmed him. She was referring not only to the magic power, but also the potential of the Chrono was huge. She had never seen this before. Dante was amazed, because Chrono was so strong even from the point of view of the Demon King. The girl said that if it was him, then that's it. She turned to Chrono and said that she had an offer for him. The guy asked in surprise what was there. The girl exclaimed loudly, asking if the guy wanted to enter the dungeon of the heirs of the Demon King. The guy was surprised. All he wanted to do was pass the days by having fun with his friends, but it seems that this is not going to happen. He asked in surprise what it was, and so the extraordinarily interesting life of a young demon named Archon Chrono will begin. Sitting across from Lisa, the guy asked what kind of Demon King dungeon she was talking about. He asked in surprise what it was. With a smile on her face, the girl said that these were the kind of dungeons that the past Demon Kings had created. They continue to exist even after they leave. They also keep precious treasures in themselves. The guy asked why he should investigate them. The girl got up and asked Chrono if he knew where the funds for the maintenance of this very castle came from. Archon thought about it and said that he remembered reading in a brochure that these funds were taken as an investment from past Demon Kings. The girl confirmed his words, but added that the money was not kept in the castle. After hearing this, Chrono seemed to understand what Lisa was talking about. He exclaimed in amazement, as if noting what her words meant. The girl said that he understood everything correctly. The treasures that are stored in those dungeons are where this whole academy exists, and that's why Lisa would like to ask him to join a special reconnaissance mission in order to find these treasures. Archon asked what it was. The girl kindly said that they have been maintaining this tradition ever since this castle began to exist. However, it couldn't be ignored that there were too many new students this year. She laughed quite horribly, saying that, to put it in essence, they simply didn't have enough money, and that was the problem. She lowered her head and exclaimed in panic that if nothing was done, the salaries of the managing teachers would be reduced. She and Dante will be the first to suffer. The guy asked a little awkwardly if this was the reason why Dante's instructor called him a savior. The teacher apologized for this and said that it was true. Archon awkwardly thought that all he wanted was a fun school life with his classmates. Lisa said with a smile that she seemed to have put him in an extremely uncomfortable position when she asked for it so suddenly. The guy was surprised. The girl said that instead of giving an answer right now, he really should think about it a little bit first. She told him that it was late enough today, so they should discuss it tomorrow. Chrono liked this idea, so he agreed with the proposal. She stood up and said that they had delayed him a little with these conversations. The other students should have returned to their dungeons long ago, so they should teach the guy to do the same. After these words, Lisa smiled and turned to Dante. The man obediently walked up to Archon and held out a small object in his hand. He told Chrono to take it. The guy asked in surprise what it was. Dante explained that it was a small crystal. It is issued to absolutely all students and it is intended to move to their dungeon. Archon noted that it resembles a large crystal that he used to create his dungeon. Lisa said that he noticed it correctly because it's like a portable version of that crystal. It was very convenient, so he should not lose this stone in any case. Chrono said he understood the instructions. Dante said that in this case, Chrono needs to squeeze a small crystal and think about his dungeon. The guy obediently fulfilled all the requirements and closed his eyes, plunging into his thoughts. The next moment, a large door began to appear in front of him. Archon stared in amazement at what appeared in front of him. With a smile, Lisa said that Chrono shouldn't stand in front of the door like that, because this is his new home. It is today that he must have a good rest and prepare for tomorrow. The guy didn't object. He pulled the door handle and entered a room with extremely high ceilings and a large number of rooms. He looked around, thinking that this was what the dungeon he had created looked like, and now it was his home. He was amazed at how huge the dungeon turned out to be. He also noted that there was no furniture at all, not even a bed on which he could sleep. Chrono took a deep breath, thinking that all the shops must have been closed for a long time. He looked back and noticed that the door he had entered through had already disappeared. Chrono didn't have a variety of options, so he just lay down on the floor, thinking that it wouldn't help him, so he would just sleep on the floor today. The next day, the guy was quite sleepy. He was walking down the corridor and calling, because yesterday he couldn't sleep properly. On top of everything else, his back hurt. As he expected, in the direction he went, the castle of the Demon King really impressed the eye. There were so many shops there that it seemed to him that he could buy everything he needed while he was living at the academy. There he noticed a cafe and noted that it smells delicious from there. He also remembered that he hadn't eaten since yesterday. He sat down at one of the tables. At this time he met Sophia, who greeted the guy. Chrono greeted her with a smile. The girl asked if he would mind if she sat down with him. Suddenly, Sophia said that she had previously heard that this place has very tasty snacks, as well as the fact that everything is free for students there. Chrono was amazed that these goodies are free. The girl said that other things, such as a sauna or a hairdresser, are also free for students. They also had discounts at bookstores and hardware stores. Archon realized that all this was being paid for by treasures. He thought that if they didn't save the money for the demon castle, then he wouldn't be able to eat with his classmates the way he was doing now. Suddenly, Sophia noticed that there was a crumb left on Chrono's face. She tried to tell him about it, but he couldn't find her, so she reached out to his face and removed the crumb herself. Sophia smiled sweetly and laughed softly, after which she said that everything was fine now. Archon awkwardly thanked her for her help. The girl was also very embarrassed. She waved it off and decided to change the subject. Sophia remembered that Chrono had not returned yesterday. She was wondering what the Demon King wanted from her. At that very moment, Lisa saw the guys. She ran up and hugged Chrono from behind, shouting his name. The guy was very surprised and taken aback. He greeted Lisa. Sophia was amazed when she saw the Demon King. Lisa said it was time to fulfill yesterday's promise. She said he should go with her. Chrono was surprised, asking if it was already now. She said that, as her boss had said, they should do everything at once. The demons around started whispering when they saw the Demon King. They didn't know what she was doing there. The demons were even more surprised when they noticed that she was with Chrono. They wondered if he knew the Demon King. Lisa apologized to Sophia and said she would take the Chrono away for a while. The guy apologized for that and said they would see each other later. The girl said goodbye in disbelief. She was upset to notice that the Demon King and Chrono were getting along well. At this time, Lisa asked Chrono if he was ready. He said he was ready and asked if they should explore the Demon King's dungeon. He didn't know why they were in her room. She said he just needed to watch. She used magic, after which the wall began to disappear brick by brick. Chrono was surprised. She pointed to the stairs and greeted him in the dungeon of the heirs of the Demon King. She said that for the first time they would go to the least dangerous dungeon, the dungeon of the first Demon King. She asked if he was nervous. The guy said that's not the case, and he's fine. A joyful Lisa exclaimed that it was good and they should start their exploration of the dungeon of the first Demon King. Together they walked along the corridor of the dungeon. Lisa noticed that it had been some time since her first visit there, but this was the first time she had seen such a simple design. She said that there would be a three-way fork next. On the right is the bathroom, while on the left is a dead-end path. There is nothing in this dungeon except a stone-paved road to the bathroom. She had already cleaned this place several times. Chrono couldn't concentrate on her words at that time because she was too close, which confused him. He walked forward and said that everything was fine as long as there was a place to sleep. That was enough. Lisa noticed that they had already had their first experience with traps, so you should be careful with the switches installed. She hugged his hand and cheerfully asked if the guy wanted to ask something else. That's what they were there for anyway. Chrono awkwardly asked if he could really ask that question. Lisa was delighted and told him to ask. The guy looked at her and asked her why she was holding his hand all this time. She said she was doing this to monitor his vital signs and know that everything was fine. She belongs to one of the genera of nocturnal creatures and therefore can immediately determine the health status of someone through physical contact. He looked away and noted why she was doing this. Chrono thanked her for that. Lisa noticed that he wasn't too nervous and his body temperature had dropped. She also noticed that the purity of his heart had jumped a little. Upon hearing this, Chrono became very shy and pulled his hand away, saying that it was better for them to just hold hands. The girl snuggled up to him and cheekily said that he was so sweet and innocent. Chrono had asked her not to tease him. Suddenly they heard a sound. They turned to look and saw that Chrono's foot had accurately touched one of the traps on the ground. Lisa turned pale and reminded him that she had told him to be careful. In the blink of an eye, many spears burst out of the ground. Chrono grabbed Lisa and made a dash forward, after which they fell to the floor together. The guy immediately asked if Lisa was okay. The girl turned around and said that he had saved her, and she was surprised that he had been able to avoid it. Chrono assumed that this trap had never been activated before. He barely had time to see them, and they would have had huge problems if these spears were crossed. The girl sighed, saying that she hadn't even seen the spears, and he was the only one who saw them. She noticed that he was really incredible. Chrono continued to dodge the traps very gracefully, hugging Lisa to him. Along the way, he said that wild birds fly at about the same speed upon returning to the village. Avoiding one trap after another, he talked about how sometimes they catch them to use as a side dish for dinner. Lisa, meanwhile, out of curiosity, asked the hero dodging the trap what kind of birds those birds were. The guy pulled her out of the traps and said that the birds were red and very big. He noted that they can even create winds capable of felling trees in the forest. Lisa asked in amazement how it could even be called a bird. She wondered if it could be the legendary Garuda. She waved it away, thinking that it was impossible. Chrono said that, as expected of a demon king who loves traps, their number did not surprise him. However, Chrono relaxed his vigilance when she said that she had cleaned the place several times. Lisa noticed that it was a little strange. She said there were a lot of sequential traps, and this had never happened to her before. Suddenly, they heard the sound again. Lisa asked what kind of sound it was. Chrono looked to the side and pointed there to the girl. A wall was moving down the corridor right at the frozen heroes with good speed and a rumbling sound. The guys were amazed to see how the walls were moving on them. They turned and saw that the walls were approaching from behind as well. The girl quickly handed Chrono a flashlight and told him to hold it. She used her powers. Lisa couldn't believe that these traps would be in effect. She said that the first Demon King had a bad temper. In the blink of an eye, a small staff appeared out of nowhere in Liz's hands, and she pointed it forward. When Chrono saw this, he was very surprised. Lisa raised the staff above her head, after which it shone brightly. She directed a strong explosion at the wall, which was getting closer. However, this did not help them in any way. Lisa exclaimed that it was useless because the wall was too hard. She turned around worriedly and said that she would like to say that it was okay if he escaped from there alone. However, there was no way to escape from there normally. She screamed in panic that she had killed her student, and that she would not be able to look into the eyes of her predecessors, and she needed to use the secret formula of rebirth at least on the Chrono. The guy said that he hadn't even died yet. Suddenly, the lights in the lanterns flickered. Chrono noticed this and was a little surprised. It only meant that the wind was blowing in the room. He looked towards the wall, which was getting closer. He quickly put the lantern down on the ground. The hero turned to Lisa with the question of whether she could break down this wall. The girl was taken aback and asked what he was talking about. Chrono explained that he felt a light breeze, and then there might be a way out. Lisa said that, as before, the dungeon was too strong. She said in amazement that there was no way she could control the dungeon of the first Demon King. Chrono asked if Dante had done something similar during the assessment, because he remembered it. He said he would try to do it again. He put his hand against the wall and tried to imagine how the dungeon was moving. Lisa reminded the guy of her words, because it's not easy to control the dungeon of the first Demon King. Immediately after these words, the wall that Chrono was holding cracked violently and crumbled into pieces. The guy exclaimed that he was right, and there was an empty room. Lisa was amazed at this time and did not understand how he was able to control the dungeon. Chrono was not up to it. He caught Lisa and pulled her into the room. At that moment, the walls connected, leaving no space. The guys found themselves in an empty room. The heroes watched the stove in amazement, and the guy said that the walls began to move back. Lisa thought that all this time there were a lot of traps in secret rooms. Maybe they were all programmed to open only after a one-time release of a huge amount of magic. Suddenly, she saw something shining on the floor. She went over there and asked Chrono if she had already said that only 90% of this dungeon had been explored. The guy looked at her with interest. The girl picked up the ring box and said that despite all their efforts, they could not find the remaining 10%. These are the ring of the first, and the golden preserved casket. She hugged him tightly and told him that they had done it. Lisa was very happy, because this is their achievement and a huge success. Chrono was somewhat taken aback, but then he smiled sweetly, watching her joy. After a while, the guys came back. They were standing in front of a small object. After the end of the process, Lisa happily said that everything was ready. Chrono asked what it was. The girl explained that it was a magical evaluation device left over from previous generations of Demon Kings. They use it to evaluate the treasure from the dungeon. Lisa turned around and looked at the Chrono, then asked if she could put their treasure inside. All he has to do is drop the object next to the device. The guy held it up on his hand and asked if he was doing everything right. In an instant, the box rose into the air and steamed, approaching the ball. After that, the device took the box inside itself. Lisa said she couldn't wait for the result. Almost immediately after that, the machine printed out the result. Lisa pulled it out and read that it was the first preservation box. Chrono was amazed at how amazing this device is. It is able to give an assessment so quickly. Lisa proudly said that it was too early for him to be surprised. At this time, he noticed that the typewriter was still typing. He was surprised to notice that the numbers continued to grow. Lisa said that the data is being sent to ancient merchants, and now they are bidding for the item. Chrono was surprised. Lisa said that these items are currently in the midst of an auction. She was wondering how much this box was worth. The numbers continued to grow at an incredible rate. Lisa said it was amazing because the price had already exceeded 3 million. Chrono was amazed to notice that while she was talking, the numbers were still rising. Suddenly, the long typing was ended with a loud sound. Lisa noted that it looked like it had been sold. Chrono looked at the printed sheet and was amazed to see the price tag of 6 million gold. Lisa said that Chrono set a record value for his first expedition to the dungeon. The hero said in amazement that the price seemed so implausible that he had no idea what was going on. The girl said it was all true. After that, she said that it was because the money had already been sent there. The next moment, the Chrono was showered with money. The guy broke free and was amazed. Lisa was happy, because they would fix the chandelier in the auditorium and hire more chefs in the dining room. The timing should have been easier. After that, she threw a bag of money to Chrono. He was surprised. She said it was his share. He asked if it would go towards school funding. The girl said that if they took everything away, it would turn out that the person who worked hard to find the treasure worked for free, and the profit should be distributed correctly. Chrono still had no idea where to spend so much money. The girl noticed that the machine was typing again and said that the ring evaluation report had arrived. Chrono noticed that it says that special abilities are unknown. Lisa said that then they wouldn't be able to put up a price. She gave him the Chrono and told him to keep the ring until he found out about it. he agreed. Lisa said that the Chrono's loot for today is a ring and gold. She asked if he was having fun and if he had any interest in the special squad. Chrono said he was wondering what was in the other dungeons of the Demon Kings. Besides, it's for the sake of saving the Demon King's castle. He wanted to continue to help with dungeon exploration. The girl happily thanked him. Chrono yawned loudly. Lisa said that today was a difficult day. Archon said that he did not have a bed yesterday and therefore had to lie down on the floor and he did not sleep well. All the shops are already closed at this time and it looks like he will have to sleep on the floor again. The girl called him to her. Together they went down to the room. She said it was a warehouse where they kept unsold items. After searching, she found a bed and was glad about it. The bed was called a sleepy healing tool. This thing is amazing. It will double the speed of his recovery in his sleep. Chrono said he would buy it. He began to beg Lisa because he needed this bed. He was ready to take it at any price. The girl asked how about 1,000. He immediately agreed. He was thanking the girl who was at a loss. The hero was very happy and put his hands on the bed. He shouted that he would sleep comfortably on the bed. Lisa noticed that he was happier than when they received the money. She thought the Chrono was really weird. After a while, the guy was lying on the bed in his dungeon. He thought about how good it was to have a bed in the house. It was spacious, but that's because there's nothing in the house. He thought he would have to go shopping. At that time, Sophia was sitting in front of the mirror. She said that Chrono did not come to the lectures again today. Although they became friends, she was sad because it was boring in class without him. Suddenly, she tried to dismiss these thoughts. She went to bed thinking that it would be good if they talked longer tomorrow. The guy woke up thinking that he had slept well. He was glad he had a bed. He had never imagined that the Demon King's things could be so soft and gentle. Suddenly, he saw Sophia sleeping on his bed in chains. They were also wrapped around his arm. He was surprised. Looking at the girl in shock, he asked why she was sleeping next to him, and wondered what kind of chain it was. He didn't understand what was going on here. Sophia narrowed her eyes sleepily, yawned, and woke up. Suddenly, Chrono noticed that the chain was gone. Sophia slowly got up and silently looked at the guy. Suddenly she laughed. Chrono was surprised by this. Sophia hugged him tightly and said that it was him. She said she could do it, because it was just a dream. The guy wondered if she hadn't woken up yet. She felt good. Chrono didn't know what to do. The girl was happily clinging to him when she suddenly realized that the sensations were too realistic. She immediately pulled away and turned pale. Sophia asked if he was real. The guy wished her a good morning. The girl froze in surprise, but when she realized everything, she trembled violently in embarrassment and screamed. Sophia abruptly covered herself with a blanket and asked confusedly why they were in the same bed. Chrono also blushed and awkwardly said that this was his dungeon and bed. The girl was surprised and looked around. She did not understand what happened, because she is sure that she went to bed at her place yesterday. Chrono said he didn't understand what was going on either. He offered with an awkward smile to ask about it after the lectures, and it is possible that Dante's instructor knows something. Sophia agreed. She blushed awkwardly and said she needed to go back to her room. Chrono said it was awkward. At that time, Dante was walking in the castle of the Demon King. Lisa came up to him and said she wanted to watch the lectures today. He asked if she was interested in Chrono. He said the guy was full of surprises. She said she had high hopes for him from the moment he created that dungeon. Dante said that when they explored the core of the basics, it was defamed by black magic, but they were also interested in a couple of other things. In the huge cave, the demons asked if this was the first dungeon where the creation exam was held. It has become like a cave system, and this is the result of manipulation of the dungeon. The guys noticed that the Chrono had arrived. They said that yesterday he was busy with the Demon King, as expected from the best student, because even the authorities do not want to leave him alone. Chrono did not think that the lecture would be held here. He saw Sophia, but she blushed and turned away. Chrono thought that now she wanted to look at him too. Suddenly Gildy came up to him and said that he thought the guy got scared yesterday and ran away. Others tried to stop him. Chrono turned around with tears in his eyes. The hero said that Gildy was the only one who spoke to him, and for that he thanked the demon. Gildy fell to the ground while Chrono was standing nearby. Dante noticed that everyone had come. Lisa was with him. He said that the Demon King would be attending the lecture today, so they shouldn't embarrass themselves. The demons were happy about this and said she was cute. Lisa wished everyone to give their best. Today's lecture will include combat training inside the dungeon. He told me to come forward and touch the floor. He summoned a crimson flaming demonic wolf. It was the summoning of the underground wolf. The students were surprised and asked if he had summoned a monster from the ground. Dante said he created it from a rock using magic. All the students will have to fight this demonic wolf. He told them not to hold back because he wouldn't even mind if they attacked in a crowd. He said they would give up if they could hit him once. The demons were ready. Dante noticed that the first one was Cordy from the dragon race. He sent his wolf into battle. They clashed in battle, but the wolf easily wounded the guy. Cordy hit the wall. He got up and said he hadn't given up yet. Chrono said that, as expected from dragon skin, it was sturdy. Dante said it would be difficult to break through with brute force alone, even if he was from a dragon-like race. He told the guy to use magic and everything he could do. Cordy said he understood. He called for the stones to gather on his fist and shouted that this technique was called stone coating. After that, he hit the wolf hard. The monster whined. Cordy was delighted, and Dante praised the guy. The students were also delighted. Afterwards, they noticed that Dante's wolf had healed his wounds. The teacher said that the children should not worry, because the medical office is always open. After that, several students rushed to attack. Fragments from the stones flew at the two twins. Sophia rushed to help them. She covered them with herself. Dante noticed that everyone uses their unique abilities for their own good. Sophia asked the twins if they were okay. The guys exclaimed that the wolf was coming. Sophia turned around quickly. At the last moment, Chrono caught her and saved her from the attack. The girl was surprised. The guy could not have imagined that she would put herself in danger for the sake of saving others. Afterward, he apologized and said it was a compliment to her kindness. Lisa exclaimed that the wolf of the dungeon was approaching, and Chrono would not be able to use magic if his hands were busy. Chrono smiled and told Sophia to hold on tight. Closing her eyes, she agreed with this and grabbed onto it. The hero jerkily retreated from the monster. He climbed up, so the wolf couldn't reach him. One of the dragons asked how Chrono could be so fast with Sophia in his arms. Gildy said he was just running away. Lisa said it wasn't like that. Chrono pushed off from the wall. The hero hit the wolf on the head very hard. The monster fell to the ground and began to crumble. Gildy was surprised, because Chrono won with one blow, and this despite the fact that he did not use magic at all. Lisa said it was impressive. Chrono asked if Sophia was okay. The girl confirmed it. She thanked Chrono with a smile. The guy said it wasn't a problem. He was delighted when he saw her smile. Afterwards, he noticed that Sophia was still hugging him. He asked what was the matter. Sophia was surprised and noticed that she couldn't let him go. He tried to move away but slipped. He fell, and Sophia followed him. He was surprised. The girl apologized and asked if he was okay. After that, she said that she really couldn't stop, and she didn't know what to do. Chrono said that she should calm down first and then slowly let him go. He blushed deeply. Following Chrono's advice, the girl successfully rose. She said in amazement that she couldn't separate. Chrono also didn't understand what had just happened. All the students were amazed that Sophia had just hugged him. They were discussing with interest whether these two were really dating. They said it hadn't been a month. They envied him. Dante came over and noticed something. Lisa was also amazed when some of the students pointed out the oddities in the princess's body to the others. Sophia's entire body was wrapped in chains. Chrono tried to take them off himself, saying that they were the same chains as before. The chains on Sophia started to pull, and Chrono apologized for it. The students who noticed this wondered if this was really what Chrono liked. Lisa was genuinely amazed. She asked if this was a chain of power. Lisa said it was the first time she had seen a chain materialize so clearly. She could even touch it, which she did. Lisa turned to Dante to find out what, in his opinion, could have caused this chain. Chrono picked up the chain in his hands and asked Lisa what was going on, what kind of chain it was. Lisa explained that it was a chain of power, and Chrono materialized it with his magic. Also considering that the chain enveloped Sophia in this way. This means that he made her his servant. They were both amazed. Dante fell to the ground and apologized to both of them, because it was all because of their lack of competence. The guys were surprised by what Dante's instructor was doing. The man explained that the dungeon creation exam was created in such a way that a part of their soul was taken away in return for creating a dungeon out of nothing. Before Chrono touched the core of the foundations, Sophia touched him and created her own 10-level dungeon. At that moment, a piece of her soul went to the core of the foundations. Immediately after that, he took control of the core of the foundations, which led to Sophia's soul. Lisa asked if she understood correctly that he had completely taken over the girl. The students whispered that if the core of the foundations had not been replaced then, they would all have become servants of Chrono. Gildy was horrified at the thought of becoming this guy's servant. A lot of different plots have already appeared in his head on this subject. He shouted loudly that he didn't want to. His friends asked him what he was thinking. Lisa also said that they should change the location for a while. She waved and told Dante that she would leave the rest to him. He accepted it. After a while, the three of them were sitting in Lisa's room. The girl said that the chain was gone now, and the reason Sophia couldn't let go of the chrono earlier was because she couldn't disobey his order to hold on tight. Sophia said her body was moving on its own, and it was the same when he said, "Let go." Lisa said that servants cannot go against the will of the master, even if the order tells them to end their lives. Chrono said that this power is scary. Suddenly he said that he had an idea if Sophia should obey his orders. Chrono said he might try to revoke the power. After that, the guy asked Sophia if it worked out. The girl wasn't sure and asked if he could give the order. He asked her to shake his hand. The girl did it. His idea didn't work. Lisa said that an ordinary contract of power could have been dispelled after such a thing, and the core of the foundations inherited from the Demon King interfered with their contract. The fact that it started right after the creation of the dungeons means that they have been bound by a contract all this time. She asked if they had noticed anything unusual before. Chrono blushed and told about what happened in the morning. Lisa noted that Sophia was in his dungeon. She suggested that this was one of the effects of the power contract. If the master loses consciousness for a while, the servant will be forcibly teleported to the master. This is in case something happens to the owner. Chrono noticed that this had not happened the day before and asked the girl about it. Lisa reminded him that he didn't have a bed and he didn't get enough sleep. She asked if he woke up every few hours. He was surprised. She assumed that he didn't lose consciousness for long that night so that the contract would move Sophia to him. The guy realized that every time he sleeps deeply, he will meet her every morning. Chrono introduced the girl who wished him good morning. Lisa confirmed that this would happen. He blushed and said it was bad in every way and they should cancel the contract as soon as possible. He said Sophia would have problems if she woke up next to him. She said that if her father found out about it, everyone would be in big trouble. Lisa clarified whether her father is the king of vampires. The girl confirmed this and said that it was a little strange to say this, but he was a very caring parent. She was afraid to think what would happen if he found out. Chrono said that Sophia is a real princess, and this further complicates the situation. The girl said that this morning she was surprised and excited, and she doesn't hate being with him. Chrono was surprised. He said he didn't mind either, and he was grateful for all that. Lisa said that it was not worth worrying about, and this was not a situation from which there was no way out. Once upon a time, the first one invented the core of the foundations, which should be in the dungeon of the second Demon King, because he studied the inventions of the first one. They can cancel the contract. Chrono said it was encouraging. Sophia asked if they were referring to the dungeons mentioned in the legends. Lisa asked if the princess had heard of them. Sophia told me that she had heard about them from her father, secret places filled with the wisdom of all previous demon kings. She always wanted to see them. Lisa said it would be faster this way. She said Sophia could join the squad too. The girl was surprised, and Lisa explained everything. Sophia was amazed that the castle had such a system. Chrono became part of the squad only yesterday. Sophia said it was amazing to become a scout for such a squad on the first day. Sophia said she would try her best not to embarrass herself. She asked Lisa and Chrono to take care of her. The guys were happy. Lisa said that the squad has become more lively. Chrono said that their squad should have senior members. Lisa said that this person is now following the dungeon of the second one. She left notes in her notebook before she left. Lisa found them and said it was strange because she promised to come back in the morning. She assumed that the girl had lost track of time in the exploration. At that time, a girl was lying in a huge cage. She realized that the time she promised to return to had already passed, and Lisa would be worried. She thought she would come there. She said it was bad and Lisa shouldn't come because there was a monster ready to eat everything in the dungeon. Chrono thought that everything did not go according to plan, but he was waiting for the three of them to explore the dungeon, and he is interested to find out who the other member of the squad is. He wished tomorrow would come sooner. Suddenly he blushed. He had forgotten that Sophia would be there if he fell asleep. Chrono looked at her and asked why she was wearing so few clothes. The heroes were walking up the stairs. Sophia said that she could not have imagined that the entrance to the dungeon of the previous Demon Kings would be in the room of the real Demon King. Lisa said that they are connected by magic. The dungeon is the second one ahead. Sophia noticed that it was very exciting. Lisa laughed and said that the girl shouldn't worry so much because she and Chrono are next to each other. The guy with a smile told her to keep up. Sophia hugged him awkwardly and said it was an order. Chrono blushed. Lisa asked the guys what they had arranged together. The guy exclaimed that she shouldn't talk about it like that. Lisa came forward and said that in order to dispel the contract of power, they needed to find a dispelling artifact. Suddenly, Lisa noticed that they were almost there. There was a large door in front of them. They went in and saw a huge tree. The guy said that this dungeon of the second one looks like a sea of trees. However, light penetrated through them, which made it feel like they were outside. Lisa said that thanks to the glowing trees, the whole dungeon is well lit. You can turn off the lantern for now. She showed that the dungeon of the second one is built in the image of an anthill, and it is a little confusing. Showing the layout of the dungeon, she noted that it had 10 levels and a lot of rooms. She said that if Soulmate had returned, they would have been able to update the map. Chrono asked if she was talking about one member of their squad. The girl confirmed this and said that Soulmate was a werewolf, and her name was Yukino Soulmate. She is an excellent cartographer and specializes in mapping dungeons. Lisa also said that it was possible that Yukino would be able to tell the guy more about this dungeon if they met with her. Chrono noticed that this was encouraging. Lisa said that Soulmate is rarely late to return. Sophia asked if something could have happened to the girl. Lisa said that Soulmate can be called experienced when it comes to exploring dungeons, and therefore you shouldn't worry. Chrono asked which route they would take. Lisa said that they have several regular routes, but they will go straight through the area connecting several floors. Suddenly they heard something. Sophia looked in that direction with everyone, but they didn't see anything. Lisa told them to be careful. The guys were surprised by the monsters and stood back to back. Huge toadstools have shown themselves. The second one was good at creating monsters. The girl said that this dungeon is well guarded mainly by these monsters. Lisa raised her hand, summoning her staff. She told the guys to prepare their weapons. Sophia quickly took out her sword while Chrono was in a stunned state. A couple of girls rushed to attack. Lisa said that everything was as expected from Sophia, and her skill with the sword showed itself. The girl said that she was given lessons when she was a child. Suddenly, a monster tried to attack them from behind. However, Chrono arrived in time, who killed the enemy. Sophia was surprised that the guy was so fast. Lisa wanted to provide information about most of the huge toadstools, when suddenly she stopped. She noticed a stick in Chrono's hands and asked what it was. The guy said it was just a wooden stick that was lying nearby. Sophia was as surprised as Lisa, who said it was amazing to defeat so many huge toadstools with such a weapon. Chrono said that he is very bad at swordsmanship and blunts very quickly. In the village, he was only allowed to use a wooden stick in training. He also noted that such sticks are everywhere in case this one becomes unusable. Chrono envies them because they are so skilled with their weapons. He has to work harder. Lisa asked if it was because the force was too great for the weapon to withstand. Chrono should be more aware of his power. They were surprised when they noticed that everything was shaking. Chrono asked what it was, thinking of an earthquake. Lisa pointed to the side. They saw the huge toadstools running away, and it looks like they're scared. She didn't understand if there could be an earthquake in a dungeon created by magic. Suddenly it stopped. Sophia asked what caused it. Lisa noticed that thanks to this, all the enemies escaped. She asked what could have happened to the dungeon. Lisa assumed that this was due to the fact that Soulmate had not returned yet. In any case, she suggested moving on. They were walking up a huge staircase. Lisa told them to be careful, because the steps are not stable, and there were also a lot of roots and vines. Something was writhing behind them. Suddenly, it grabbed Sophia's leg and pulled her towards it. The girl screamed when the others had just turned around. Chrono was surprised that the vines were moving. Lisa fought them off and said that she could not have imagined that the trap would be on the main staircase. Chrono was surprised that Lisa didn't know about it. There aren't many artifacts in this dungeon, and its exploration has been delayed. This was the first time she had gone so deep into this dungeon. Chrono looked up and asked Sophia if she was okay. The girl, red with embarrassment, agreed. Chrono told her to stay there, and he'll be right there. She asked him not to go. He looked up and saw that Sophia was hanging upside down, which caused her skirt to rise up. She exclaimed that he might not come. The guy closed his eyes in embarrassment, but still couldn't leave her. Lisa said he could leave it to her. The girl turned to Sophia and said that she might be tickled, but it was better to be patient. She used a powerful spell, thanks to which she destroyed many vines. Sophia fell down, right into Chrono's hands. The guy was surprised and asked if the girl was okay. It was heavily deflated. Chrono turned away and said he was the only one who should apologize. He thought she was like a different person when she was sleeping. Sophia thanked Lisa for her help. They noticed that the vines had stopped moving. Lisa was glad that they made them calm down, and maybe it can't absorb nutrients when the base is destroyed. Suddenly, everything started shaking again. The guys looked around, after which Sophia asked if it could be stronger than last time. Suddenly, the stairs began to collapse under their feet. The whole room began to collapse at a rapid pace, and the guys quickly fell down. The debris was flying down. Lisa smiled and thanked Sophia for saving them. The girl held all her companions on her wings. Sophia said it was the least she could do. This is absolutely the opposite of the situation that used to be with Chrono. He'll be fine even if he falls. The reason they stay in the air is weight balance. Chrono covered his face with his hands in embarrassment and said that this situation was embarrassing. In unison, the guys talked about how cute Chrono looked at that moment. He became even more embarrassed and screamed. After that, they started to go down. Sophia said that she would not be able to climb higher, and therefore would slowly lower them down. She was coming down with a huge weight. Lisa was wondering why the floor suddenly collapsed. Chrono didn't understand what was going on in this dungeon. Suddenly, Lisa noticed something unusual. She said that she could already see the earth. She turned to Sophia and said that there was not much left. The girl said very hard that her wings were already at the limit. Before the guys could be surprised, Sophia's wings disappeared. They all started falling down. Chrono quickly caught himself and told Sophia and Lisa to take it up. The frightened girls agreed without any problems. Because of this, the guy was confused because he lost his eyesight. He announced that they would strike. They shouted to Lisa that she needed to be ahead. Upon landing, they activated an air cushion, which made them land gently. Chrono and Sophia looked at the girl and said that she had saved them. Lisa smiled and said that it was her responsibility, both the headmaster and the Demon King, to protect her students. The guys came out and noticed that they had entered an absurdly huge territory. Lisa said that this is the lowest level, and it's great if they start at the end. They definitely won't miss anything going back. Lisa opened the map and said that this place is quite large, and therefore it is worth dividing into two groups. She pointed to the side and said she would go east with Sophia. Chrono said that, in that case, he would go west. Before splitting up, Sophia called out to the guy and sincerely asked him to be careful. Chrono smiled and said that the girl should also take care of herself. Chrono noticed that it was very quiet there, and there were no huge toadstools. Looking around, Chrono noticed that there were bite marks in some places, and others were knocked down. The guy wondered if someone big had passed through there. He climbed onto the bark of one of the trees, after which he noticed something that made him speechless. The guy was genuinely amazed when he saw such a big tree. Suddenly, he was very surprised when he saw a cage hanging on this tree. He realized that someone had been imprisoned in it. At a fast pace, he climbed up the branches to get closer to the cage. He asked the prisoner if he was okay. The injured and tired girl slowly stood up, asking if this was the Demon King. When she saw the guy, she realized that she was mistaken. Chrono immediately noticed that the girl was a werewolf. He asked the girl if she was a soulmate. The girl confirmed it. She said her name was Yukino's soulmate. Chrono realized that the girl could not return because she had fallen into this trap. Soulmate asked who the guy was. Chrono introduced himself and said that Lisa and one of his classmates also came to the dungeon. He told Soulmate that she shouldn't worry because he was going to get her out of there. Soulmate thanked him but said that it was impossible, so Chrono should leave her and go back. The guy took a step forward and asked why. Suddenly, Soulmate shouted at him not to approach. The next moment, a huge vine hit the place where the Chrono was standing hard. The guy managed to jump back. Chrono was extremely amazed to notice that this tree could move. He remembered that something similar had already happened on the landing. Soulmate said that it would catch him as well as her, and then he would not be able to leave. She told him to hurry up and run away from there. It may not be able to absorb nutrients if the roots are destroyed. This part of the structure of all plants is the same. Chrono said that this means that all he has to do is destroy the earth next to the roots that are causing harm. Suddenly, a chain appeared on his arm. Another vine tried to hit the guy, and therefore he just didn't have time to think about the chain. He touched the ground when suddenly these chains stuck into the ground. They walked a certain distance, after which they broke out again. The tree began to slowly fall down the slope until it was completely on the ground. Chrono caught the cage that Soulmate was in. He pulled her out and asked if she was okay. The girl just stared at him in amazement, not taking a step forward. Chrono was a little surprised by this, after which he thought that it might be that she was weak, so she couldn't get up. Chrono apologized for his insolence, and then picked up Soulmate in his arms. The girl quietly asked who he was. Chrono said that everything is as he said before, and he is just an ordinary demon. Suddenly he noticed that the girl was sniffing him. He was very surprised and blushed, after which he asked what was wrong. She smiled. She said it had an interesting smell. Chrono looked away and thought she was a little weird. He noticed a chain on it and asked if it was the same chain. The girl said that it was a sign of the absorption of the Demon King's treasure. The Demon King had left them only a few artifacts capable of casting this spell. Chrono said that something had to be done about it and asked where the artifact was. She quietly said that he had eaten this artifact. It was a monster that was created by the second Demon King. This is the Dragon of Gluttony. At this time, Lisa loudly asked Sophia to pack up. The girl was unconscious. Someone tried to attack them again, and Lisa screamed loudly. She fell to the ground next to Sophia. She squeezed her eyes shut, and then said that there might be problems with this guy. Right above them stood a huge, menacing monster. He roared loudly, looking at the girls. The monster quietly watched as Lisa stood, trying to protect Sophia, who was already lying unconscious next to her. The girl held her staff high above her head, ready to attack at any moment. Lisa understood that her leg had already suffered a lot from the monster's previous attack. It was no longer so easy to escape. She didn't know what to do, but she had to at least let Sophia go. Suddenly, the monster roared loudly. The girl was alarmed, but immediately used the spell, Shield of Light. She created a small defense that wouldn't last long. Under the onslaught of the monster, the shield almost immediately began to crack. It was extremely difficult for the girl to hold this spell. Everything was bad because she knew that at this rate she would not last long. By this time, Sophia had regained consciousness. The girl slowly opened her eyes and looked at Lisa, who was barely holding on. Lisa asked the girl with a smile if she was okay. Sophia was at a loss as to what kind of monster this was. Lisa quickly explained that it was a gluttony dragon. She said that the second Demon King, who studied and developed artifacts, created this dragon. He created the monster in order for it to devour more unnecessary artifacts. However, the dragon turned out to be so voracious that he began to eat the dungeon itself. He should be hibernating now because of the sleeping spell. She noticed that it looked like the monster had woken up because the effect of the magic had already begun to weaken. Sophia quickly understood what Lisa was talking about, and made the assumption that the earthquake that had occurred earlier could be one of the consequences of the awakening of the dragon. Holding on hard, Lisa said that it was possible that this happened because of this monster that was eating the dungeon itself. She said that he most likely damaged the very structure of the dungeon. Suddenly, the monster moved away from Lisa's shield. The girl turned to Sophia and joyfully said that the monster was retreating, and while the girl could still, she should run. Sophia was terrified. She tried to tell Lisa what she was seeing, but she didn't have time. The dragon's tail quickly accelerated, after which it hit the girl's shield with all its might. With a loud crack, the shield shattered into many pieces. The monster tried to eat the girls. He slowly chewed what had managed to get into his mouth, after which he successfully swallowed it. He licked his lips, when suddenly he heard someone's comforted sigh to the side. Chrono held the three companions in his arms. The guy was pleased because he was on time. Lisa and Sophia were genuinely amazed. The monster growled in displeasure when he noticed that he had missed his prey. Sophia asked if it was possible that this was the missing girl. Lisa happily called Soulmate's name. She was relieved to see that Yukino was fine. Suddenly, she noticed the chain that wrapped around Soulmate's body. Chrono said that she was obviously under the rule of the Dragon of Gluttony. Lisa asked, startled, what he had said. They noticed that Soulmate's vitality was leaving her, and if that was true, then things were bad. Chrono looked at the injuries of his companions, and then at the dragon. The guy sternly asked if it was really that monster that had injured them so badly. Lisa was surprised and looked at the Chrono. His expression was extremely cruel. He told the girls to step aside and wait. Chrono went to the dragon and said decisively that he would take care of the monster. At that moment, chains wrapped around his entire body. They need to leave. She asked if this was a chain of power. Lisa said in amazement that she could not even think that he would be able to summon them himself. Chrono probably learned this from his experience with Sophie's chain and dungeon management. She added that it was just amazing power anyway. Lisa said that in a moment she would be blown away if she relaxed. Sophia looked at the Chrono with concern. At this time, the guy who was radiating such strong energy was standing right in front of the dragon. The monster took a small step forward towards the Chrono, after which it growled loudly and made a dash forward. Lisa exclaimed in fright the name of the guy who was in the monster's mouth in the blink of an eye. The dragon tried to flatten the Chrono. He growled, celebrating his victory. However, he was a little surprised by the power that reappeared in his mouth. Chrono was easily there. Surrounded by chains, he put his hand on the dragon's nose. The guy grinned, then noted the attack level of this monster. He asked if that was all the monster was capable of. Chrono raised his hand and said it was his turn to attack. In the blink of an eye, he launched such an attack, which caused the monster to raise its head up in amazement and cough. Chrono clenched his hand into a fist and the chains wrapped around it. After that, he hit the monster with all his might so that due to the incredible strength of the guy, the monster bent over. Chrono was above him. There was not a drop of regret in his eyes as he accelerated and hit the monster with all his might so that he dug his whole body into the ground with a loud scream. Sophia said in amazement that this monster couldn't lift a finger. Lisa, who was analyzing the fight, noted that the dragon's skin was covered with thick scales. She said that even this blow would not be fatal. Chrono also noticed what Lisa was talking about. He was standing right in front of the monster when he said that the dragon scales were very strong. He looked up at him and noted that he should aim where there are no scales. With a quick glance, he walked through the dragon and found such a place. Chrono decided that he would hit the neck leather fold with his magic. He once again gathered an extremely strong magical charge around him. Holding on to the ground heavily, Lisa was amazed to notice that the glow around the chain was getting bigger. Noticing the danger, the dragon growled, then rushed at the guy, wanting to interrupt his attack. Chrono was already fully prepared for the attack. He said that the dragon should enjoy the demon skill. Sensing danger, Lisa shouted to Sophia that they urgently needed to go to shelter. Chrono deftly launched his chains at the monster, which stuck right into the neck. Huge gusts of wind blew away everything that was nearby. The girls were supported by Sophia's wings, with which she covered them. Lisa praised the girl for her excellent defense. Sophia smiled and thanked the girl for her words. The wind rustled for a long time, after which it finally calmed down, and the dragon fell to the ground with a loud crash. The ground beneath his body began to crumble rapidly as the calm Chrono walked forward, turning away from the body. His chains disappeared quickly enough. The monster that fell to the ground quickly began to crumble until it disappeared altogether. Lisa was amazed to see that Chrono had indeed won. Sophia said worriedly, but at the same time happily, that it was good that Chrono was unharmed. The guy joyfully approached them. With a big smile on his face, he said that everything ended without any problems, and they successfully exterminated the monster. Sophia and Lisa froze in amazement, not understanding at all what he was talking about. Sometimes such monsters appeared in the village, and he was asked to exterminate them. They were a real problem because they often ravaged the fields. Lisa noted with some amusement that he was talking as if they were wild boars and deer. Soulmaid regained consciousness. Suddenly, the chains that were on her slowly dissipated. The girl stretched and said that her body seemed to have become much lighter. She looked at them and said that she was saved only because of them. She started twisting her hair around her finger and thanked them. The guys just melted at how adorable she was. Lisa rubbed her head and said that it was somehow not like her. Sophia tried to justify herself, and Chrono said it was worth it. Soulmaid stared at them in disbelief. Suddenly, someone called out to the Demon King. Lisa turned in surprise, and saw that Dante's instructor was standing in front of them, as well as the rest of the Academy's instructors. She came up and asked if they hadn't come to help them. Dante confirmed this, and said that the whole castle was greatly alarmed because of this. Dante asked if Lisa had grabbed the spirit and done something to it. The girl awkwardly said that, unfortunately, she didn't do anything. She pointed with her hand at the monster's body, which was lying very close by. Dante was amazed by what he saw. Lisa said that Chrono did it. After these words, the instructor was only more surprised. Chrono told Lisa that they should go back faster, because they have wounded. Their search for the artifact dispelling the contract may be postponed to another day. Lisa told the guy that he should wait a bit. She said that they could still extract the dragon core. She turned around and said she would leave the extracted material to the instructors. Chrono got up after Lisa and asked if this was it. The girl said that it was, and it would definitely get a high price. Chrono also noticed that some kind of artifact was stuck in the core. Lisa noticed it too. She wondered what kind of artifact it was. She said he still has to work. Suddenly, she was surprised. She asked in surprise, because it was a chain. When the guys returned to the academy, Chrono was surrounded by interested people. They admired the fact that he had killed a strong gluttony dragon. They said the guy was amazing, and the castle would be in danger if the dragon was left behind. Somewhat confused and surprised, the guy just said that it wasn't that important. Suddenly Lisa came up to them and said that it was very important. She smiled, noting that she had already fully recovered. Lisa told the others that it was time to give Chrono space, even though she understood that they all wanted to praise the hero. They agreed. The guys apologized because he had just returned from the dungeon. They asked him to tell them about it next time, and the guy agreed. Together with Lisa, they went forward. The guy asked about Sophia and Soulmate. Lisa replied that the couple had become quite energetic. She also noted that they are now preparing for the party. Chrono asked what kind of holiday it was. Lisa said it would be a celebration of Chrono's victory. The guy was surprised. Chrono was shy and said that it was embarrassing because he had no experience in such things. Lisa smiled broadly, after which she offered to evaluate the artifacts extracted from the gluttony dragon while they finished their preparations. The guys waited again for the machine to print them the result. As a result, they learned that they had found the core of gluttony and the wand of renunciation. Lisa exclaimed joyfully that they had found that wand of abnegation, and since they had it, they would be able to revoke Sophia's servant status. Chrono asked in amazement if this was true. Chrono was very happy, because Sophia will no longer be under the control of his words, and she will no longer be called whenever he sleeps. He also found himself thinking that in some ways he would be a little lonely. The guy asked how they could use it. Lisa continued to read. She said it should be written about somewhere. Suddenly, her expression changed a lot. She frowned. Chrono asked her what was the matter. He asked her to tell him how to use the artifact. Lisa said that the core's ability is parsing and absorbing magical artifacts and dominating others, and so on. The dragon core was practically disassembled and absorbed by the wand. Therefore, they could no longer use her ability. Upon hearing this, Chrono was surprised. An artifact in the process of parsing and merging. He asked how this was even possible because the wand was stuck in the core. Lisa said she would have to come up with something else. Chrono asked if they could extract the wand if they broke the core. Lisa immediately rushed over and said that he couldn't, because of his strength he would just turn to dust. Chrono was confused, which caused them both to fall. Sophia and Soulmate came into the room. They asked what happened, but Chrono said that everything was fine. The girls said that the preparations for the party were completed. Soulmate asked Lisa to hurry up and clear the table. The girl exclaimed that they looked cute in aprons. It was difficult for them to help in ordinary clothes, so they changed their clothes. She asked what Chrono thought about it. He was shy and hardly said it was cute. Others at this time said that the preparations had been completed. There was a real feast on the table. The guys noticed that Sophia and Soulmate became friends, and probably the princess was feeding her. The guys decided to eat before the food got cold. Raising their glasses, they rejoiced at Chrono's victory. The guy noticed that Soulmate likes to eat. The girl said that this was normal because she hadn't eaten all day. The guy asked what was wrong. She said that Soulmate was her clan name and she wanted him to call her by her first name. After that, he named her Yukino. Smiling happily, the girl agreed that it was so good. She was glad. Chrono asked what she was eating because it looked delicious. This dish was also prepared by Sophia. She took a portion and handed it to Chrono. She handed the food to the spoon. He was surprised and blushed. Chrono, red with embarrassment, tasted the food. He said it was delicious. And out of joy, Sophia hugged him tightly. The guy turned to Lisa and said that Sophia was acting strangely. The drunk girl said it might be because of the drink she gave the princess. Chrono thought it was a dangerous drink. Lisa hugged Chrono too, and then Yukino joined in. They hugged him. The girls said they were glad he was safe. The guy was glad. Suddenly, everything went dark, and he opened his eyes in his dungeon. He remembered that they came back after the party, and then he fell asleep. Someone was hugging him. He thought that his hands were warm, and it was probably Sophia. Suddenly, he felt movement on both sides. He saw Yukino, who wished him a good morning. He didn't understand what was going on at all. Chrono asked why she was there, and why she wasn't wearing any clothes. She said she didn't like to sleep with her clothes on, and if she could, she would always walk like this. He asked her to change her clothes. Sophia was there. Chrono asked her to wake up quickly, and he handed Yukino clothes. She noticed that it smelled like a guy. Her body feels the heat. Chrono asked her to stop saying that, and then called Lisa. Lisa said there was no doubt, and Yukino was under the power of Chrono. She said that Soulmate had become a servant, just like Sophia. The guy asked why. She showed the core where the chain was. Lisa said that the dragon core is in the power of Chrono. She assumed that the power had passed to Chrono. She said that in order to cancel the contract, they needed a wand to dispel the contract of power, and the wand could not be used at that moment. Sophia said she didn't mind if everything stayed the way it was, so he shouldn't get upset. Yukino said she didn't mind either, and on the contrary, she was glad. Chrono said it's strange for friends to be under a power contract, and he wants to create a relationship built on trust. They agreed. Lisa admitted that until they exhausted the possibilities, she needed to explain something. Demon kings throughout history have had their own unique specializations, so there must be those who are good at both creation and correction. Chrono said that if they continued their research, they would find a way to fix the wand. They were delighted and decided to go down to more dungeons of the Demon Kings to fix the wand. But for now, he wanted a bigger bed. The young people were standing and talking cheerfully to each other. A young man was standing in front. He was looking ahead cheerfully. The wind blew through his short hair and clothes. The young people who were standing behind the young man were discussing something sweetly. The young man's name is Chrono. He is a demon who grew up in the village. Chrono came to the castle of the Demon King, to the academy where demons study. He was looking forward to it in order to make friends of his peers. During the class division exam, Chrono created an unimaginable dungeon of 400 levels. He scared not only the students, but also the teachers. The young man possessed extraordinary strength. Chrono came from an isolated region where powerful monsters appear every day. Chrono was different from his classmates, and he began to be shunned. He was alone and couldn't find any friends. The young man's first friend was a vampire princess named Sophia. Due to a mistake, Chrono enslaved Sophia and his senpai, the silver wolf Yukino. These two girls were chained by chrono chains, and they completely obeyed the orders of the young man. In order to remove the contract of power imposed on these two girls, Chrono had to go to the old dungeons of the Demon Kings to search for an artifact. Thanks to the support of the Demon King Lisa, Chrono's exploration of the dungeons, as well as his school life, are beginning. On top of the stepladder sat a girl with twisted horns on her head and pointed ears. She was holding a book in her hands and was delighted with her find. Someone was looking for the Demon King and calling loudly. The girl who was sitting on the stepladder responded. It was Dante's instructor who had entered the library in search of the Demon King. Dante's instructor asked what the Demon King was doing in the library. The girl searched among the books for Demon Kings who were knowledgeable in repairing artifacts because they needed to quickly remove the contract of power. The Demon King descended from the stepladder to the floor and asked why Dante's instructor was in a hurry to find her. The instructor reported that a letter had been received through a messenger from Sophia's father, the Vampire King. In the letter, the Vampire King wanted to see the academy his daughter attends. He had already left the vampire castle and was on his way to the academy. After reading the letter, the girl was puzzled. When Sophia was informed of her father's arrival, she was very surprised. Chrono noticed that it hadn't even been a week since school started. The girl who was standing next to Chrono added that it was too early to see what was going on. The daughter of the Vampire King said her father cried for 3 days and 3 nights when she left the country. He really wanted to go with his daughter. Sophia's father was very upset, although his daughter was leaving for only a year. The Demon King asked how many days the Vampire King would arrive. Sophia thought about it and said that her father would arrive in 10 days if he was going on a fast karate trip. The girl with the horns noticed that it would be difficult. The Demon King warned that it would be a disaster if the Vampire King found out that Chrono had enslaved Sophia. Chrono was in a panic when he imagined that his father might see Sophia in chains. He was standing between two of his girls and was very scared. The daughter of the Vampire King thought about it and agreed with the Demon King, and Yukino thought about how a lot of things had happened. The girl with the horns pointed at the Chrono and called him the one who turned the daughter of the Vampire King into a thing. The young man asked her not to say that. She continued to scare Chrono further by saying that a confrontation between Sophia's father and his would be inevitable. Chrono presented the struggle with Sophia's father and called it absurd. In his imagination, he asked for his daughter, but the Vampire King flatly refused, and Chrono shouted that he would not fight the Vampire King. Because of their battle, the castle was under a thunderstorm. The young man was offended that no one was worried about him. The Demon King was cheering Chrono on, because with such power, nothing can happen to him. Sophia also agreed with this assumption. The Demon King put a book on the table and said that they should withdraw the power contract before Sophia's father arrived. Chrono noticed that the artifact canceling the contract, the Wand of Abnegation, is broken. Yukino. Sophia and Chrono stood behind the Demon King. The girl with the horns opened the book and said that she had actually found a way to repair this broken wand. She read that the 10th Demon King said that he was good at disassembling and repairing artifacts. Sophia said that there would be another exploration. Chrono added that this exploration will be in the 10th dungeon. The young man was inspired by a new adventure and determined to explore this new dungeon. Silver Wolf Yukino said that she has not been there yet, and therefore is looking forward to this exploration. She was also very happy about the new adventure. Lisa closed the book with both hands and noticed that there was one big problem in the 10th dungeon. The big problem was that this dungeon was excessively spacious. She continued that the dungeon is so huge that it is impossible to see its end. There are 3 levels inside this dungeon. Sadly, Lisa added that they hadn't even found the stairs leading down yet. No one has ever descended into this dungeon, and it may take 3 months, maybe 6 months, or even more, to explore it. Everyone noticed and said in unison that the dungeon was impossible to explore, and there was no hope anymore, but Lisa said with a smile, that's why she called in some strong helpers. Chrono was greatly surprised by the words of the Demon King, and he couldn't figure out which assistants he was talking about. The young man stared at Lisa with his mouth open. Yukino, Sophia, and Chrono looked at the Demon King questioningly. Suddenly, Lisa, with a smile on her face, called everyone to come to them. Girls, boys, and even a dragon knocked on their door and entered. It was the whole special class. They greeted the princess, Chrono, and Yukino. These guys were very funny and smiled sweetly. One of the girls said that they had heard everything. There was a whole crowd at the door and they were all ready to help in the search for treasures so that Chrono could cancel the contract. Lisa said that they had developed well after the first week of the lecture. Therefore, she thought it would be useful to let them join their special reconnaissance squad. Chrono, Sophia, and Yukino were surprised, and Lisa continued that this time they would go with this lineup. Chrono looked at the huge crowd of guys who were ready to go down into the dungeon with bewilderment. There were girls with pointed ears, a disgruntled guy, a dragon among them, but they all looked with kind eyes. Chrono was worried that this would be normal, because the contract of power did not apply to them, and Sophia wasn't sure either because she was embarrassed if everyone was going to help them. The dragon interrupted them and calmed them down so that they would not worry, because they are not strangers. Another girl smiled sweetly and added that they were classmates and could rely on them. The other girls were supportive and said they would like to see Chrono fight, and exploring the dungeon sounded interesting. One young man frowned and remarked that he was not doing this for the sake of the guys. Then he pointed to the Chrono and continued that he was doing this because he was interested in the castle of the Demon King. Chrono smiled at the gloomy young man anyway and thanked him. One of the girls noticed that the gloomy young man was embarrassed. Others picked it up, and a young man with pointed ears and a displeased face asked everyone to be silent. The guys looked at them sweetly. Chrono stood in front of his classmates. He was standing near the wall, the bricks of which had been dismantled. The guys who were standing behind the Chrono were smiling, they were interested, and someone was scared. The 10th dungeon was waiting for these guys. They went downstairs through the room and down a narrow hallway, where the crowd began to jostle. One of the guys said that it was narrow, that they needed to be careful, and one of the girls said that she would never have thought that such a room would turn out to be the entrance to the dungeon. Chrono loved that so many people were rallying together. Sophia noticed that Chrono likes it when there are a lot of people. He cheerfully noticed that they could already see the entrance to the 10th dungeon. There were long steps leading up to it, and at the end there was a door. When they went down the stairs and went inside, the crowd turned out to be on the field. There were sky, mountains, trees, bushes, rocks all around. The 10th dungeon turned out to be some kind of terrain. One of the girls was surprised by the blue sky. Another noticed that this place didn't look like a dungeon at all. Lisa said this place was designed with magic. Chrono was surprised to say that it was really spacious. The dungeon was very quiet and there were no monsters. And they slowly began to walk on the grass. Suddenly, the dragon noticed something unusual. They were animals with horns, similar to goats. These animals started attacking people. Chrono warned that it was designed so that these animals would start attacking when they went inside. Then he loudly ordered everyone to prepare for battle. The whole team got ready to defend. Animals with horns and round monsters began to surround them. A young man with pointed ears, whose name was Gildy, cast a stone cover spell. Gildy noticed that all the puddles turned out to be slugs. Slime began to appear from the puddle near Gildy. One of the girls shouted and warned him. Slime began to grow and swing out of the puddle of slime. Then Gildy turned around with a displeased face. When Gildy turned around, he saw a huge slime in front of him, which swallowed him up in an instant. One girl was afraid that Gildy had eaten the slime. The slime started to slurp, and Gildy didn't let go of his knife. Chrono reassured the girl that slime takes a long time to digest food, but the girl was still worried about Gildy. Chrono added that Gildy needed to be rescued quickly because he might suffocate before his mucus digested. Chrono used magic, and a long iron chain appeared. With this chain, Chrono wrapped the huge slime several times. Chrono held the chain with one hand, which he wrapped around the slime. With his other hand, he was holding the other end of the chain, which he was trying to grab onto Gildy's legs, which were sticking out of the slime. Gildy was lying on the ground and groaning crawled out of the slime. Chrono managed to save Gildy. Others ran up and asked about the condition of the rescued young man. Someone noticed that they needed to give their best to fight only with a monster. Everyone admired Chrono's strength and fearlessness. Although the dragon noticed when everyone was praising Chrono that there was someone who also deserved attention. It was Gildy who was covered in slime and survived. Yukino and Sophia attacked horned animals and monsters similar to thick cacti together. Sophia happily informed Yukino that she was done fighting monsters, and Yukino also said she was done too. The other girls looked at Sophia and Yukino with surprise and admiration because they defeated the monsters one by one with their thin hands. Another girl noticed that Chrono and the others were practicing in addition to attending classes. Lisa told the others that these monsters are not the worst thing for the Demon King's dungeon. Then she added that the dragon, nicknamed the Dragon of Gluttony, appeared in the second dungeon. Everyone was surprised to hear about the dragon. Lisa said that Chrono single-handedly defeated the dragon when Soulmaid, Sophia and she were exhausted and thought that this would be the end of it. A classmate who looked like a dragon noticed that the Chrono was really amazing. All the classmates were inspired by the power of Chrono and decided to keep up with him. They all became fearless and determined together. One of the girls used ice shackles against the monsters. Then she blocked the path of the monster bearing towards her, preventing it from passing. She warned the dragon Cody that the monster was coming his way. For such cases, Cody used a stone coating. Gildy's nails began to sharpen and become covered with fur, and hellhounds appeared next to him. Gildy began to attack and shouted that you should not underestimate the power of the hellhounds. Lizzie proudly noticed that everyone started improvising when they saw how Chrono was fighting, and that the high-level guys were pushing others. Only now did Lisa see that everyone had rallied as one team. Chrono controlled his huge chain and destroyed the monsters one by one, and most of them were defeated. Lizzie praised everyone for their excellent work and suggested that they continue to search for treasures. The squad was walking across the field as a classmate. Someone noticed that the landscapes here are all the same. Only the number of strangely shaped trees is increasing. One of them said that it was necessary to put even more effort into searching for treasures, that it was not so easy to find them. Lisa suggested that we split up and look for treasures in several places at once, and if something is found, then immediately report. Everyone was listening attentively to Lisa. Suddenly, someone noticed something sparkling in the field. Chrono walked over to where it was sparkling. It was a flower of magical energy, a kind of magical flowers that accumulate magical energy in their petals. Chrono was praised for finding the magic flower. Lisa said that it is usually difficult to find magic vets because they have transparent petals. Chrono said that his parents run a pharmacy and therefore he has experience in this field. Chrono picked this flower and said that he was used to these magical flowers as they sprout outside their village. Lisa irritably noticed that these flowers just don't grow everywhere and they are very expensive. Chrono cheerfully continued to tell that his mother cooked delicious dishes from such magical flowers. Lisa was upset that such expensive flowers were used in food. She said that Chrono Village is mysterious. Lisa asked what Yukino saw when she climbed a tree to explore the area. Yukino said there was nothing to report, and most likely the treasures were buried underground. Yukino, standing at the top of the tree, saw in the distance that something shrouded in dust was approaching. They were two girls who were running away from something. A titanium bull was running after these two girls. Lisa said that these bulls become uncontrollable when they get angry. The girls were screaming for help, and Sophia was interested in what they had done. One of the girls admitted that she accidentally stepped on the bull's tail, but it was still not clear why the bull was angry. Gildy didn't understand what was going on or why they were approaching him. The girls were scared, they ran with all their might, but the bull was catching up with them. Sophia rose high and grabbed the girls by the hand. The bull ran under them. Cody praised Sophia for her excellent work in rescuing the girls. Someone shouted to Chrono and warned that the bull was running towards him. Chrono used his long chains and sent the bull flying. Lisa and the other girls were happy for Chrono, and the bull flew into the sky, then hit the ground with force. Chrono turned around and saw that the bull was lying unconscious. All his classmates were very surprised that Chrono was able to deal with the bull with one blow. Lisa hugged Chrono with joy. Everyone was looking at the hero joyfully. Sophia spread her wings and descended from the sky along with the two girls she had saved. Sophia thanked Chrono for saving her, and the girls thanked Sophia for saving them. Suddenly, Chrono noticed something sparkling among the grass. He was surprised and called Lisa to show her his find. There was a square treasure box lying among the thick grass. His classmates were surprised by the discovery of the Chrono. They saw for the first time what a treasure box looked like. When Chrono opened the box, he saw a flask inside. Lisa thoughtfully said that they would not recognize the contents until they returned and recognized it. Lisa thanked everyone that they had all fought well. Then she suggested that they all go back to the castle together. There was a huge ball of iron rings in the middle of the room. It was a recognition device. Any object is inserted into the middle of this ball, and then the result is fed into a typewriter with a piece of paper. Lisa put a file in the middle of the ball, which Chrono found in the dungeon, and all the classmates were waiting for the result. A drawing of the bottle and its description appeared on the piece of paper. It was a bottle of water consecration liquid. The bottle with the liquid was intended for use. By type, it belonged to special objects and was used to create special water. Chrono took the paper with the description of his find. He noticed that sacred water was used to balance magical energy. Lisa praised Chrono for his excellent knowledge, as expected from the son of pharmacists. Lisa said that, unfortunately, sacred water is not used to terminate contracts. There is very little time left before Sophia's father arrives. They had no choice but to go to the dungeon again. Someone noticed that the numbers on the typewriter were growing all the time. One of the classmates noticed that the Demon King said that the numbers were the current bid at the auction. This typewriter showed the numbers 500, 700. Lisa looked at the typewriter and was pleasantly surprised that it showed incredible numbers. Then I noticed that it looked like the auction was over. The machine showed 2 million gold coins. Everyone who was nearby was surprised by these numbers. Gildy was surprised that this little bottle was worth so much. The girls couldn't believe that this find could be worth so much money. When one of the girls noticed that the jacket she had recently looked at was worth 20 gold pieces and began to think further. At that moment, Chrono got scared and invited the girls to move away. Suddenly, millions of gold coins began to pour down. Lisa asked Chrono what he was going to do with the money. Chrono smiled happily and said that she would certainly share this money with everyone. All his classmates began to smile cheerfully. The girls were sitting in a hot tub. One of the girls cheerfully said that today's trip to the dungeon was very fun. Sophie was in a public bath for the first time. She was very pleased to be in the big bathhouse. Yukino was immersed in hot water up to her nose and it was very relaxing for her. The girls started asking Sophia about the Chrono. She didn't understand what the girls meant. They were interested in Sophia and Chrono's romantic relationship. They were wondering what orders Chrono was giving. The girls continued to ask about the Chrono. They were curious that he didn't order Sophia to do anything even though she was in complete submission. Sophia was happy to say that Chrono is very kind and courageous. He never gave her and Yukino commands that they would not like. Sophia respectfully and gratefully said that Chrono is a wonderful person. The girls say it's amazing. Lily grabbed Sophia's breasts with both hands and was surprised to notice that Sophia's breasts were rather big and had good shapes. At that moment, Lisa, the Demon King, joined the girls. The girls noticed that Lisa had big and soft breasts. Boys were bathing on the other side of the public bathhouse. They heard the girls' words. Some of them really wanted to join the girls. Then one of them suggested spying on the girls, but he was dissuaded by the fact that it could end badly. Meanwhile, Chrono was rubbing Cody's back. The dragon happily sat and enjoyed himself while Chrono lathered and rubbed his back. Cody praised Chrono because he cleaned dragon scales well. Chrono confessed to Cody that there was an old man from the dragon race in his village, and Chrono often washed this old man's back. Cody was surprised that in Chrono village, Draconians and Jinn live in the same village. Chrono admitted that Avars, elves, vampires, and others live in his village. It was a very rare occurrence when the village is so diverse. The dragon asked Gildy if he wanted Chrono to wash his back. Moreover, Chrono is very good at this. Chrono looked at the disgruntled Gildy with a smile. Chrono was even more surprised when Gildy silently sat down in front of him, which rubbed his back. Gildy, displeased, asked Chrono to do everything right. Chrono got down to business with pleasure. Chrono, rubbing Gildy's back, noticed that there were still remnants of mucus on him. At this time, two guys with red spots on their faces returned. Cody asked what happened to them. It turns out that these two went to look after the girls and they were punished. Chrono was sitting between Sophia and Yukino. He was embarrassed and the girls were smiling sweetly. They had glasses of drinks on their hands. The Demon King Lisa praised everyone because they did a good job on today's expedition. They didn't find anything today either. Cody said that this was their 5th study and that he was already used to it and could even do it alone. Chrono noticed red spots on Sophia's back. Sophia said with a smile that she was fine and she was a little overworked. Yukino also noticed that Sophia didn't look well and was worried about her well-being. Everyone started to worry about Sophia. Chrono thought she was hurt. Others thought she was hurt. Sophia assured everyone that she was fine. Lisa suggested she just show it to everyone to make sure she was okay. Lisa was worried about Sophia. If she was injured, then they should treat her properly. Sophia insisted that she was fine. One of the girls suggested that the guys go the other way and not peep. Chrono decided to go with the guys too, but he was stopped and told that he and Sophia were connected by a chain and it would be better if he knew what happened to the girl. Sophia bared her back. Patterns appeared on the lower back. It was the demon's coat of arms. This pattern only appears on noble vampires. His father told Chrono about it. This dragon crest was the root of their power. The pattern lights up brighter when too much energy is used. The same pattern may appear on the abdomen. It made everyone feel better because it wasn't an injury. Sophia thanked them for taking care of her. The guys were allowed to return. They were also very worried about Sophia, and one of them wanted to look at Sophia's back, but he was refused. Chrono apologized to Sophia for not noticing that she was tired because they explored the dungeon every day. Sophia said it wasn't Chrono's fault that she didn't realize she was tired. Chrono turned to Lisa. She suggested that everyone take the rest of the day off because everyone was very tired. Everyone was delighted with this decision. The girls decided to go shopping to see new dresses. The guys decided to go to the city and buy something for themselves or go to the sauna, and someone just wanted to eat. Someone suggested eating a portion of 100 people and getting a memorable photo. Some people didn't like it, but everyone was happy. Chrono was glad that it was their first lunch. It was the first time for Chrono and Sophia to go to the city. Someone suggested that we all go explore the city together. Someone has never done shopping in the city. Sophia was happy because it was a great chance to spread her wings. Yukino supported her. When Lisa was happy because everyone decided to go to the city together, a servant came to them. He said that Professor Dante was calling the Demon King. Lisa didn't understand what had happened. Lisa apologized to the others and asked them to go to the city without her and asked Yukino to accompany them. Chrono walked in front, followed by Sophia and Yukino, joyfully. They were happy because they were going to go to the city. Lisa met Professor Dante in the hallway. He looked like a big dog with glasses. The Demon King noticed that the professor had a bald spot on his head. Professor Dante said he would go bald from emergencies. Professor Dante fell on all fours and said that the gatekeeper informed him that the Vampire King had just entered the city. Lisa was surprised by this, because Sophia had told her that the Vampire King was not due to arrive for 5 days. Lisa also added that Chrono and Sophia are on their way to the city. This information makes it even angrier. If Chrono and the Vampire King really collide, not only the castle, but the entire city could be destroyed. There was a table of men on the rock. The whole city stretched out in front of it, and beyond the city, in the middle of the forest, a castle could be seen. The man's cloak was blown by the wind. He felt the presence of his beloved daughter. The Vampire King was crying because he could finally meet his beloved daughter. After she left their house, every second it felt like his body was being torn apart. But the Vampire King got thoughtful because he felt a great source of magic next to his daughter. Only he couldn't know who was next to Sophia. There were beautiful large buildings in the city, a tower with a chapel. The square was very noisy. There were a lot of citizens and guests. Chrono stood open-mouthed in surprise. He wanted to try different foods. Basically, Chrono wanted to try a lot of sweets. He ordered a white berry with a sweet berry, a crispy slime in the style of crushed mint, and a soda. Chrono successfully ordered drinks for himself, Sophia, and Yukino, but the waitress came up to him to clarify the order. She suggested getting an order with ice or hot, as well as choosing portion sizes and choosing syrups for drinks. When the waitress took Chrono's order, she noticed that his eyes had changed, and she assumed that he was dizzy. He couldn't say anything. Chrono was very worried about the orders, but Sophia calmed him down. Yukino went to get the orders. She calmly managed to tell the waiter that they wanted medium-sized portions and with ice and caramel syrup with extra cream. Sophia, Chrono, and Yukino were sitting near the fountain and drinking drinks. Chrono said with a smile that it was very sweet for him and, probably, this is the taste of the city. Chrono was surprised to see more than 3 people queuing up for the first time. Even the largest city in his country would not look like this city. He asked Yukino if this city was holding a festival. Yukino said it's always like this in this city. This city is busy every day. There were drinking competitions at the bar, and magic books were sold. Then Chrono saw what the main road of the city looked like. Sophia asked if Chrono's drink was delicious and tasted it from his straw. At that moment, Chrono thought it might be an indirect kiss. Chrono saw Sophia's happy face and thought that he had always been waiting for such friends and had fun with them. They really wanted Miss Lisa to go with them. Then Sophia offered to buy Lisa a souvenir. Yukino knew the store that Miss Lisa liked. In the meantime, they decided to explore the city. While they were walking among the souvenir vendors through the shops and streets of the city, Chrono was very hungry. Yukino suggested one place where you can eat delicious food, and this place belonged to her friend. Yukino came in and greeted the waitress. Her name was Mary Wild. She was Yukino's classmate and a high elf. Mary had heard a lot from Yukino about Sophia and Chrono. She greeted them and was glad to welcome them. Chrono thought Mary looked like a good person, but she was wearing a maid costume. Chrono, Sophia, and Yukino sat down at the table. They were brought unusual dishes and plates that looked very tasty. After tasting a piece, Chrono wanted to eat even more. All the dishes were very tasty. Chrono liked the air omelette, and Sophia liked the hamburger. Mary's food was very popular, and that's why Yukino wanted Chrono and Sophia to try it too. Sophia admitted that she had heard a lot of praise about Mary from Yukino and was looking forward to meeting her. Yukino asked Mary not to mention anything so embarrassing. Mary said Yukino talked about Chrono, that he was strong and courageous, and Sophia is pretty and a good cook. Sophia noticed that Mary and Yukino get along well. Yukino didn't agree with Sophia's suggestion, although Mary said that they had known each other before they moved to this city. The countries where Yukino and Mary live are neighbors. These are the countries of the High Elves. Since they are both nobles, they have met many times. Sophia was surprised that Yukino and Mary are nobles. Yukino added that despite how Mary looks, she is the daughter of an important legislator. Sophia was surprised that despite the fact that Mary is a noblewoman, she runs a local restaurant. Mary was usually expected to become a legislator like her family. Mary confessed that she had to go back to her country, but then she came to the Demon King's castle and met Yukino. She was a legendary maid. Yukino was incredible. She knows how to cook, handles all household chores, and takes care of the garden. Yukino is good at everything, and most importantly, she is proud of her work. Mary sincerely admired Yukino. Then Mary thought that she could use the knowledge she had gained from Yukino to open a restaurant. Mary could let the visitors have a great time. And as a sign of respect for the legendary maid, Mary wore this outfit. Yukino added that Mary is the type of person who makes decisions quietly and quickly. Then Yukino was very surprised by her friend's decision. Sophia asked about Mary's parents. Don't they want their daughter to become a politician like them? Sophia thought that choosing your own path was an amazing thing. Mary said that her parents wanted her to come home, but she talked to them and her family agreed with her daughter's choice. Mary Wild said an interesting thing, that we get only one life and it will end in the blink of an eye. Therefore, she believes that everyone should do what they want. The girl said that there are things that can only be done now. Sophia thought about Mary's words about doing what you want to do. Sophia asked Chrono and Yukino if they had a dream. Yukino confessed that she loves exploring the dungeon, and that's why she wanted to stay in the castle and help the Demon King. There are many dungeons that she has not explored yet. Yukino wants to draw a lot of maps. Sophia admired Yukino's dream. Then Yukino asked if Sophia had a dream. She admitted, looking at her reflection in a cup of coffee, that she never thought she could have a choice. But now that Sophia had heard Mary's story, she felt she could do whatever she wanted. Chrono noticed that Sophia and he looked alike. Chrono thought it was only natural that he would inherit the pharmacy at home, but the truth was, he didn't know if this was really what he wanted to do. It was the first time for Chrono to come to such a big city and meet such friends. From that moment on, he wanted to see a lot of new things and meet a lot of new people. Then, he plans to find out what he wants to do in the future. Chrono suggested that Sophia look in the castle for what she wanted to do, and if Sophia finds what she wants to do, Chrono will definitely support her, and Yukino volunteered to be Sophia's ally. Sophia was moved by the support of Chrono and Yukino. She thanked them and offered to support them both. Chrono, Sophia, and Yukino said goodbye to Mary. Sophia admired what a wonderful person Mary was, and Yukino was proud that a man like Mary was her friend. When Sophia was talking to Chrono, someone called her. It was her father, the Vampire King. He was standing in front of Sophia. She screamed and rushed into her father's arms. The Vampire King missed his daughter very much. The Vampire King turned to Chrono. He looked at the young man menacingly and said that Chrono must have great magical power, which he felt next to Sophia. Incredible magical power came from some two incredibly large sources. Professor Dante suggested that this was very bad, because it must mean that they had already run into each other. Professor Dante pointed out to the crowd that a crowd was gathering around this place. The Demon King asked for permission to walk through the crowd. The townspeople were surprised to see the Demon King in the city. Lisa and Professor Dante didn't understand what was going on. Then they looked up. High above the city, the Vampire King and Chrono were fighting each other. The crowd admired the fact that they were both incredible. Sophia noticed the Demon King and Professor Dante. Lisa apologized for being late, even though they were in as much of a hurry as they could. The Vampire King glared at the Chrono. The young man looked back fearlessly. They both swung and their fists met. Sophia was watching their fight. But instead of fighting, they banged their fists in greeting and hugged. The Vampire King and Chrono were smiling happily. Sophia's father said that he had not seen Chrono for a long time and noticed that the boy had become stronger since the last meeting. Chrono responded by calling the Vampire King Old Vlad. The boy also could not have thought that they would meet in such a place. Sophie and Lisa were surprised to see the Vampire King and Chrono smiling and greeting each other. Lisa didn't understand what was going on. Chrono was trying to explain to Miss Lisa, and the Vampire King greeted the Demon King and said he hadn't seen her since her promotion. A few minutes ago, the Vampire King and Chrono were fighting, but they assured me that it was not a battle, but a greeting. Lisa was surprised by such a greeting, although Sophia's father assured her that they had only lightly measured their strength. Yukino said that she only saw them really fighting, or more likely, she didn't see most of this fight. Sophia asked Chrono in surprise if he knew her father. Chrono said that the Vampire King came to his village a long time ago, that he came twice to buy medicines, the last time it was 5 years ago. The Vampire King hugged Chrono and said that he was still a little innocent back then, but now he has grown up and become a gorgeous young man and hardly recognized him. And Chrono said the old man hadn't changed at all. But still, Chrono couldn't believe that the Vampire King was Sophia's father. The Vampire King asked his daughter about the friendship between her and Chrono. Sophia said that she and Chrono get along well. Vlad was very happy about it. The Vampire King asked Chrono to protect his beloved daughter from any problems that would threaten her. He agreed unconditionally, but he couldn't admit that he was the one who made his beloved daughter a slave. The Demon King asked Yukina. Sophia said that she is a high school student and her name is Yukino. She is also her friend. Yukina was glad to meet the Vampire King. The professor decided to go and study with the other teachers. Lisa suggested that instead of just standing and chatting, go back to the Dragon King's castle. The Vampire King agreed with her and asked her to take them to the castle. The Vampire King was surprised at how this city had developed. Lisa was honored to hear this from the Vampire King. Lisa wanted to make sure that King Grey wouldn't find out. Chrono had to be careful not to say anything that could be mistaken for an order. That would be the best solution for Sophia. Sophia's father asked what they were whispering about. Lisa said they were discussing where to place the Vampire King. Sophia's father asked her not to worry about it, because his carriage is following him. He drove halfway in the carriage, but the Vampire King was impatient and flew the rest of the way on his wings. Someone was heading towards the Vampire King. A huge beast man flew in and fell between Chrono and the Vampire King. No one understood what was going on. They were drunks. The fight was between a giant and a beast man. The tavern owner asked drunks to stop. These drunks were arguing about who had drunk how many drinks. One of them hit the one who called them drunkards. Then Sophia stood in front of them and asked them to stop fighting. The Vampire King and Chrono were afraid for Sophia. The giant drunkard looked menacingly at little Sophia and swung his huge hand in her direction. At that moment, the father hugged his daughter, and Chrono stood facing the giant. They were both worried about Sophia. Chrono was confident that he could handle such an attack without any help. Chrono strongly asked the drunks that they could get drunk in the middle of the day and that it was their own business, but no one should bother other people. The giant was indignant at what Chrono had just said. The giant began to knead her fists because she wanted to start with the Chrono. Then this giant was very surprised. The Vampire King stood in front of the giant and menacingly asked what he was trying to do to Sophia, his only and beloved daughter. In response, the giant just laughed. No one dared to raise their hands against Sophia. The Vampire King started using magic. The giant did not understand what the old man was going to do. Sophia tried to stop her father. Yukino began to lead Sophia away from the fight. The Demon King Lisa warned everyone to hurry up and run away. She noticed that if you use as much magic power as the Vampire King is going to use, maybe the city will be destroyed. Chrono noticed that the old man never got rid of his habit of getting angry easily. At that moment, Lisa turned to him. At this time, the Vampire King wanted to show the drunkards his fist of rage, and the giant and the beastman asked them to save them out of fear. Someone stopped the fist of the Vampire King's rage. Lisa, Sophia, and Yukino closed their eyes and hid from the impact force. The one who grabbed the Vampire King's fist was Chrono. He was trying to calm the old man down. The Vampire King was surprised that Chrono was trying to stop him. Chrono told the old man if he was worried about his daughter, then he should listen to what Sophia had to say. She tearfully asked her father to stop because he could destroy the whole city. She was fine. The Vampire King asked his daughter not to be sad. He was sorry that he could not stand when his daughter was in danger. He was carefully wiping away his daughter's tears. The Vampire King looked menacingly at the drunks, and they were very scared. The old man decided to take pity on them for Sophia's sake. He told the drunks to leave quickly and never fight in the city again. They quickly ran away and asked for forgiveness. Then the Vampire King apologized to Chrono. The young man asked the old man not to worry about it and showed his hand. Chrono's arm just hurt a little. The Demon King, hearing that Chrono's arm was a little sore, was very surprised. The residents of the city began to thank Chrono for stopping the fight and preventing the destruction of the city. Chrono added that Sophia was the first one who tried to stop the fight. Then they began to thank her too. Chrono wanted to call Sophia to her but stopped in time, because that would sound like an order. Chrono whispered to her that they should avoid showing chains around their necks. At that moment, the Vampire King approached them. The Vampire King said in a serious tone that Chrono and Sophia had been acting a little weird for a while, and he asked if they were hiding something from him. Chrono stared at the old man in silence. The Vampire King asked Chrono that he and Sophia had been acting a little strange for a long time, and if they were hiding something from him. Chrono had a nice conversation with the Vampire King a long time ago. At that time, the Chrono was still small. Then the old man and the boy laughed carelessly and talked sitting in the garden. Sophia convinced her father that they weren't acting strangely. Lisa immediately intervened and suggested that the Vampire King visit the open bathhouse at the Demon King's castle because he was tired of the long journey. At the end, the Vampire King turned to Chrono and asked him if this was really the case. Chrono looked into the old man's eyes and lowered his head. Chrono admitted that he wasn't going to hide anything from the Vampire King. Lisa tried to stop the Chrono, but he decided to tell the old man everything. They returned to the Demon King's castle, as it was not appropriate to talk about it in the city center. Lisa asked Chrono what he was going to tell the Vampire King. Then Sophia asked him not to tell his father about her enslavement. Yukino noticed that Chrono didn't seem to want to hide anything anymore. Chrono apologized to Sophia for not consulting her, but he didn't think he could hide it from his friend. The girls looked at the young man in surprise. All the residents in Daring Chrono were very old. Although they were all kind to him, to them he was just a child like their grandson. There was no one there whom he could call his friend. Chrono read books as a child where it was said that all children get along well. They pick fruits, fish, and play all day until they get dirty. It sounded very good to the boy, but he didn't have any friends. Chrono kept wondering if he would find someone who would agree to be his friend if he left the village. While little Chrono was reading and thinking about his friend, an old man came out of the bushes. That old man was the Vampire King. The Vampire King saw a little boy in a clearing, thought that he had found a child in this village, the same age as his daughter. Little Chrono was afraid of the old man, but the Vampire King said that his name was Vlad and that he came from a very far place in search of a village. But the Vampire King got sad because he didn't find any village. Then little Chrono said that he would take him to the village if he became his friend. The little boy grabbed the hand of the Vampire King and plaintively begged to become friends. The Vampire King looked closely at the big eyes of the little Chrono, stroked his head and gave him his hand. The boy looked at the old man questioningly. The Vampire King invited the boy to shake hands as proof of their friendship. The little boy gladly offered his hand. Then the old man asked the boy what his name was. It was because of the history of dating the Vampire King that Chrono wanted to tell the truth. Chrono was determined. Sophia decided to support Chrono, and Lisa also agreed that the truth should be revealed to the Vampire King. Yukino also supported Chrono's idea and added that if they fight, they'll come up with something. The Demon King emphatically added that she couldn't ignore Chrono's feelings. Chrono thanked Miss Lisa in return. Professor Dante announced that he was going to bring the Vampire King here. The Vampire King came and apologized for waiting because unpacking things took some time. Although he didn't have much luggage, he also thanked the Demon King for preparing a large room. Lisa, in response to gratitude, replied that she could not allow the Vampire King to spend the night on the street. The Vampire King was all ears and waiting for what Chrono and Sophia were going to say. When the old man started talking to Chrono and Sophia, the Demon King asked Professor Dante if he had brought what she asked for. The professor brought Lisa her stick, which was eaten by the dragon of gluttony. It was prepared in advance. Dante will set up a shield at the entrance and try to minimize the damage if the Vampire King gets furious. Lisa counted on the professor and hoped that the damage would be done only to this room. Chrono turned firmly to the old man and said that he should take a look at something. Then Chrono, in a commanding tone, called Sophia to come to him. Sophia went to the Chrono, and chains appeared that connected the daughter of the Vampire King with the Chrono. The old man saw these chains that wrapped around Sophia's arms and waist. Chrono apologized to the old man. Chrono confidently continued and said that because of an accident, he had turned his precious daughter into his slave. The old man asked if it was true that Sophia had become a slave to Chrono. Sophia tried to protect Chrono and told her father that Chrono was not to blame for anything and was not going to hurt her. The Vampire King said calmly and was surprised that this was really a huge problem. It turns out that the Vampire King has known about this since he came here. Everyone was very surprised that the old man knew everything. Chrono kept saying that it was such an unforgivable act. It was only then that he realized what the old man had just said. Sophia was very surprised that her father knew that she had become a slave to Chrono. The old man admitted that anyone with even a drop of strength would be able to see vaguely if they focused their gaze a little. The Vampire King saw the chains on Yukino as well. This made Chrono even more uncomfortable. Only now did Chrono realize that anyone could see these chains, and he felt sorry for Sophia and Yukino. Lisa said that only people with powerful powers can see these chains. Even she couldn't see them until the Chrono made them visible. Only now did the old man understand why Chrono was so nervous and what he wanted to talk about. But Chrono couldn't stop and told the Vampire King. Wasn't he angry that his precious daughter had fallen under the power of a man? The old man answered Chrono's question with a smile. The Vampire King wasn't mad because this man is Chrono. Then the old man added that if he had not known this man, he would have been furious and given free rein to his strength, and even managed to blow up 2 mountains. The Vampire King put his hand on Chrono's shoulder. The old man said that he knew the young man well and trusted him completely. Chrono was glad to hear such words from the old man. The father noticed that his daughter looked very cheerful. The Vampire King turned to his daughter and asked her if Chrono was a good person. She smiled and said she thought it was unfair that her father had met him before her. Since Chrono had said that Sophia's slavery was due to an accident, the old man wanted to know how it happened. Chrono tried to explain. When they found out that he had created a dungeon with 400 floors, everyone was surprised. The old man praised Chrono for creating the incredible. Chrono said that he only wanted to create a dungeon with 4 floors. The Vampire King praised Chrono for the fact that each of his rooms contained 100 floors and it was beautiful. The old man was sure that everyone had worked hard to break the contract. The Vampire King decided to leave the contract issue unresolved for them because he trusted them. Chrono thanked old Vlad for his trust, and Sophia also thanked her father. Lisa was glad that everything was settled now. The Demon King suggested that the Vampire King go to an outdoor sauna to relax from fatigue from the road. It sounded great to the old man. He suggested that Chrono visit the sauna together. The young man gladly agreed. Sophia sat down on the sofa and thought about something. Yukino looked at her and noticed that she didn't look very good. Sophia admitted that she was fine, she just lost her strength after she felt relieved. She needs to rest. Chrono, Lisa and the Vampire King turned around abruptly and saw that Sophia had fainted and was lying on the floor. Everyone ran up to Sophia. The Vampire King hugged his daughter, who fainted. He noticed patterns on Sophia's back, and I couldn't believe it. The old man shouted that it was a demon mark and ordered everyone to run away immediately. Sophia began to float in the air, although she was unconscious. The Vampire King warned everyone to be ready for it to attack. Lisa did not understand what could attack them. Some kind of black force started attacking them. Chrono managed to cover Lisa with himself. Then this black force attacked Yukino. She felt that it was strong. Chrono came to Yukino's defense. He was trying to hold this power with both hands. Yukino apologized and asked me to hold on to the Chrono for a little longer. Chrono tried to hold back the black power, not understanding what it was. The Vampire King took out a glass bottle and tried to get Sophia to drink from it. She drank what was in the bottle. Sophia was lying on her father's lap, and the black power began to return to her again. The Demon King was wondering if everyone was okay. Everyone in the room was fine except Sophia. The Vampire King was trying to revive his daughter. Lisa suggested that King Grave put Sophia in the infirmary. Sophia was carried away in her arms. The Chrono was still in the room. A glass bubble caught his eye, from which Sophia was drinking. In the infirmary, the doctor said that Sophia was fine, that she needed to sleep. Sophia was lying on the bed and asleep. The Demon King thanked the healer. Chrono asked the old man what really happened. The old man decided to tell Chrono about the demon mark on his daughter's back. Chrono guessed that this was the mark of the demon on Sophia's back. Since the young man guessed, the old man decided to talk to him about it. The Vampire King and his daughter are royal vampires who have been hiding the sources of the power of the so-called demon god in their bodies for many generations, and the marks on the stomach and on the waist are evidence. Because of this mark, the old man's ancestors could become the head of the vampires, which distinguished him from other vampires. From generation to generation, it's not an easy thing to control powerful vampires. An uncontrollable demon gets out of control regardless of the person's will. Sophia has not yet been able to turn the demon's power into her own. Lisa asked if Sophia knew about the demon. She said she didn't panic when a mark appeared on her lower back. Yukino noticed that the demon mark appears when the wearer's body gets tired. The Vampire King admitted that he had not told his daughter anything, that Sophia did not even know about the existence of a demon. He didn't want his child to have unnecessary worries. In Sophia's case, when the seal appears, her physical strength decreases, and this is a sign that an attack will occur. Before she left, Sophia took medication to control her symptoms. Chrono recognized this medicine bottle. It was from his parents' house. Then the old man confessed that he went to the village to Chrono to prepare medicine for Sophia. It was impossible to prepare this medicine for Sophia without going to that village. It was in the village of Chrono that the ingredients, cooking methods, and special materials were located. After taking the medicine, the symptoms can be suppressed for 6 years. Sophia took medication 11 years ago and 5 years ago. The old man was sure that the symptoms would not appear for another year, but this attack happened. This time, it was a heartbreaking visit to the Demon King's castle, all because the devils resonate with each other. The old man had a good feeling about everything. The medicine that the old man gave his daughter 5 years ago no longer worked. Lisa and Chrono were worried about Sophia's condition. The old man needed to go to Chrono Village as soon as possible. Chrono told the Vampire King that it takes 6 months to make the ingredients for the medicine. The young man was afraid that Sophia would remain like this. The old man wanted to leave here until the medicine was ready. Lisa was very surprised by the old man's departure. The Vampire King said they would have to take Sophia to the village and make sure she rested. And Chrono needs to go too, because he has a dominant contract. Chrono was surprised that he would have to leave this place too. Lisa tried to stop them because they had just arrived and had not had time to make friends. The old man asked Chrono if he would go. At this time, Sophia came to her senses, got out of bed and overheard the whole conversation about the demon. The father was worried about his daughter and asked her not to get out of bed. The Vampire King informed his daughter that Chrono was going with them. Sophia shouted at her father that the demon was her own problem. She didn't want Chrono wasting his precious time on her. The old man was surprised by his daughter's answer. Chrono began to worry about Sophia and asked not to worry about him. Sophia suggested that the young man find something to do together in this demon castle. That was what they were talking about in the restaurant. She was very happy then. Sophia was sad if Chrono had skipped school. She remembered Mary Wild's words that there are things that can only be done now, even if 1 year passes quickly, but the last 6 months have been an indispensable moment in life. It was very painful for Chrono. It was hard for him. He realized that Sophia cared about him. Sophia was really too kind for Chrono. Chrono approached the old man and asked him if he had any medicine. Then he grabbed the Vampire King by the collar and asked him. Chrono was interested in how the old man learned to control the demonic god in his body. Professor Dante tried to stop the embittered Chrono. The young man wanted to know how the old man did it, and asked me to tell him. Chrono firmly said that if Sophia got better, he would do anything. The Vampire King continued to stare at the Chrono in surprise. The young man kept wanting to get away to control the demon from old Vlad. In the end, the Vampire King agreed to Chrono's pleas. He just said that there is only one law of force. The old man told Chrono to fight Sophia, and he defeated her. Chrono looked at the sleeping Sophia. He couldn't believe that he was going to have to fight Sophia and defeat her. The Vampire King said that Chrono's opponent would be a demon sleeping in Sophia. If Chrono can defeat him in the manifested state, then the demon will fully become the power of the owner, and there will be no more mess. The Demon King said that the demonic gods are ill-mannered, wild beasts. Professor Dante, with the permission of King Grave, asked if there is a reason why he was able to keep Sophia's condition under control by giving her medication. Chrono said that the old man had failed to defeat the demonic god. The Vampire King confessed that what happened today was just a small part of the demon god's power leaking out. There is much more power in his body. The last time the Vampire King failed to deal with the drugs. But his father and his elite men were forced to fight the demonic gods. When the old man's father lost one arm, the battle ended and the city castle was destroyed. Everyone in the room was listening intently to the Vampire King. The old man continued his story. The method used by his ancestors is impractical. The Vampire King cared about those around him and therefore he kept the demon under control with the help of drugs. The Vampire King waited until Sophia was strong enough to keep the demonic gods under control alone. He didn't know how many years or decades it would take. Chrono looked at the sleeping Sophia and remembered her words. She said that she wanted to find something together that they would want to do, and she didn't want Chrono to skip school because of her. He remembered how Sophia had said about Mary's words that there were things that could only be done now. And the last 6 months had been an indispensable moment in Chrono's life. These unforgettable moments were also in Sophia's life. Chrono resolutely approached the Vampire King and asked if the fight with the demon god would affect Sophia herself. The old man said that the demon would completely separate from Sophia. She will not share the damage that the demon will receive. Chrono was determined to fight Sophia's demonic gods without worrying about what might harm her. The Vampire King began to dissuade Chrono. Because the demon in Sophia was too strong, the castle and fortress city that every demon king defended was heavily damaged. That was the only thing to avoid. There was a town and a castle under Lisa's protection. She joined Chrono to defeat the demonic god, Sophia. Unico also decided to join the fight. She reassured the Vampire King that she was strong enough. Professor Dante was ready to do anything to support them. Chrono stood next to Sophia's bed and said decisively that everyone was ready to fight Sophia's demonic god. The father asked his daughter to stop Chrono because Sophia's demonic god could destroy everything around. Sophia woke up and trusted Chrono with a smile. Chrono was smiling. At that time, there was a noise outside the door. Chrono's classmates broke into the room through the door. Lisa praised them in front of the Vampire King that they were all good students and were studying in advanced classes. All the classmates vied with each other to say that they didn't want to eavesdrop, but they heard everything anyway. They had no idea that the marks on Sophia's back were very serious. They really wanted to do something to help Chrono. Then they noticed that Gildy was lying on the bed, whom no one noticed. Gildy asked not to complicate his life and refused to help Chrono. Chrono asked Gildy for help. Gildy was surprised by Chrono's request, but agreed to help him defeat the demon. Chrono thanked all the guys for their support. Chrono asked his classmates why they were all in the infirmary. It turns out that Gildy ate too much parfait in the cafeteria and was taken to the infirmary. That's why they all came to visit Gildy. The guys started making fun of Gildy. He replied that they all passed quickly, but he continued to eat parfait. Gildy suddenly felt sick when he remembered the creamy taste. All the guys happily decided to save Sophia. Classmates did not want to accept the idea that Sophia could be taken away from school life. He all wanted to help Chrono. The Vampire King was glad that he enrolled Sophia in this particular school. He saw how devoted his daughter's friends were. He proudly asked his daughter's classmates for help, and they all happily agreed. The girls were sitting next to Sophia and cheering her on. Lisa said that the battle would take place in the courtyard, which could be seen through the window. It is also expected that the battle will be more intense than in the dungeon. Lisa asked the guys to rest today and prepare for tomorrow's battle. The guys were ready for battle. Lisa asked everyone to disperse and rest. Chrono stayed overnight in the infirmary next to Sophia. She apologized for asking him to stay the night, but he was pleased to be with her. She always got help from Chrono, and Sophia wanted to help Chrono in return. Chrono was already happy. After all, it was Sophia who first spoke to Chrono during the admission ceremony. Chrono was looking forward to coming to the demonic castle to make friends. He thought that after the incident with the dungeon, Sophia would distance herself from him. Chrono was very afraid that he would spend the whole year alone. That's why Chrono helped Sophia. Chrono warmly thanked Sophia for her friendliness. The young man noticed that Sophia was blushing. He thought she was throwing up again. but the girl calmed him down and said that she was fine. Chrono wished Sophia good night and turned off the lamp. There were millions of stars outside the window. Sophia also wished him a good night's sleep. The Vampire King stood alone on the balcony. Suddenly Lisa came up to him. She didn't know that King Grave was standing on the balcony. She reassured the old man that there was no need to worry about tomorrow. They had good students and a Chrono. Chrono possessed the strength of 100 people. The old man agreed with Lisa and said that this boy had incredible strength since childhood. The Vampire King said he had been to Chrono's village twice. Lisa was wondering if dragons and dangerous monsters really live in the village. She was wondering if the magic herb really existed. If she had grown up there, then researchers from all over the world would have visited this village. To such arguments of Lisa, the old man replied that this village is very hidden from everyone. There is no information or record about this village anywhere. There, spells are sealed in memories. There were people in this village who couldn't lose their memory. They looked at each other. There, a supernatural phenomenon arose naturally. The Chrono boy may have great power, but in the village he is a simple child. The old man asked Lisa to keep an eye on the Chrono. To the old man, Chrono was just a little boy who really wanted to make friends. The Vampire King promised Lisa to have a big party when it was over. He promised that they would have a great time. Lisa agreed with him. Morning came. Chrono woke up first and saw Sophia sleeping. She looked good. When he was about to remove the blanket, Yukino appeared under it. She woke up and greeted Chrono. He remembered that she usually sleeps naked and asked her not to leave the blanket. Yukino got up and stood close to the Chrono. Then she said that she dressed appropriately because she knew that she would be sent to the infirmary. Yukino knew where she was. When he heard her say that she was wearing clothes, Chrono let out a sigh of relief. When Yukino came out of the blanket, she was in her underwear. She didn't like it either, and she wanted to take it off. Chrono was very surprised and pointed out to her that she was in her underwear. He was embarrassed and asked her to get dressed. A sleepy Sophia told Yukino that she needed to put on a change of clothes. Sophia was worried that the battle was about to begin. Sophia was scared. She was afraid that her demon could harm all her loved ones. She didn't want to hurt anyone. Sophia hugged Yukino and burst into tears. Yukino was comforting Sophia. She said that everyone would help Sophia, especially Chrono. They were all strong and everything will be fine. Sophia hugged Yukino and cried. She believed that everything would be fine. When Chrono went out to the square, they greeted him. Chrono was startled by the surprise. All the classmates have already gathered in the square. They all woke up early to find out about Sophia's condition. Chrono was pestered and asked about the contract. One of the guys thought that Chrono sleeps with 2 girls every day. The professors began to install shields around the castle. Chrono asked about Gildy's health. He promised that he would never eat parfait again. The guys were arguing about what they would eat after the battle. Someone wanted to eat parfait, although it was high in calories. Others wanted sweet fruits. Lisa and the Vampire King came up to the guys. Lisa asked all the guys to get together. She wanted to explain today's operation. First of all, it is necessary to minimize the damage caused to the environment during combat. Therefore, the professors cover the courtyard with protective magic. As soon as the defensive wall is ready, they will start fighting the demon. The Vampire King was confident that when the power of the demonic god was released, Sophia's god would be able to use his power to manifest himself. A half-breed can use all the power her vampires possess: the creation of wings, the enhancement of physical abilities, the ability to split, regulate, and suck blood. The old man warned that the demons would have a hell of a fight and it would not be easy. The Vampire King said he would help them, but not here. Classmates will fight vampires. Although vampires are the most powerful of their kind, you can't let your guard down. The main battle will be between the demon god Old Man and Chrono. Chrono readied his chains and was ready for battle. Chrono asked the old man for advice on how to defeat the demon god. The Vampire King said that for the demon god, physical attacks are less effective. The runaway demon god takes the form of its owner. A demonic god in humanoid form has a core in his heart. If Chrono can destroy the core and the old man pointed at the heart, then victory will be for them. Chrono promised to defeat the demon. The old man wished that he would not give up. The young man smiled and said that he understood everything the old man said. Something happened to Vlad. The old man bared his torso. He had a demon mark on his stomach. The Demon King commanded the demon to wake up. Everyone looked at the old man. The old man was on all fours on the ground. Black forces began to come out of him. Lisa warned him that the shields were still being put up. The demonic god no longer obeyed the old man. Chrono was ready, seeing their old man and the black shadows coming out. Sophia felt what was happening to her father. She began to summon the great demon king to awaken the demonic gods. Yukino was next to Sophia. Suddenly, a demon resembling Sophia's body and hair burst out of Sophia's body. This demon was naked and without legs. Yukino saw in front of her an exact replica of Sophia, only naked and in dark spots. Chrono remembered that runaway demons usually take the form of their masters. He saw the Vampire King in front of him, only it was a demon. Black shadows were coming out of it. Everyone got ready for battle. Chrono saw Yukino fly out of the broken window. She managed to grab hold and warned that something more was coming. An exact replica of Sophia stood in front of the Chrono. It was Sophia's demon god. The two demons united and stood in front of the Chrono. Chrono stared intently at the two demons who resembled a father and daughter. Then the young man said that they would have to fight two demons at the same time. Chrono stood in front, with his friends behind him, and they were all ready to fight for Sophia. Their enemies were two demonic gods. Chrono readied his chain and pointed it towards the demon, which looked like an old man. Vlad was looking at the hero. Two demonic gods stood side by side. Their black smoke began to turn into large bats. The guys started hiding their heads. Black bats began to fly to the guys from all sides. They all prepared for battle. Gildy was not afraid of anything. He injured one bat, which turned into a black liquid with bubbles. The bats attacked. Gildy enjoyed fighting the bats. The girl warned him to use magic, not physical force. She started using wind magic to drive away the bats. The other guys saw that magic worked well against bats, but there were too many of them. One of the guys noticed that some magic had been sucked out of him. The bats used the force of energy sucking. Lisa asked Professor Dante to take King Grave to a safe place. When the old man leaves with the professor, he warned that demons can take away not only the owner's appearance, but also his thoughts and memories. Chrono readied the chain, and immediately he came face to face with a demon that looked like a vampire king. The demon kicked Chrono with such force that the young man flew to the side. Chrono managed to get to his feet and did not fall to the ground. Lisa was very much afraid for the young man. Chrono shouted to Yukino, who was standing on the wall of the tower, that he was fine. Most importantly, they need to stop Sophia's demonic god. Sophia's demon began to approach him. Sophia's demonic god raised his head to the sky and saw a small place there without protection. The demon smiled cheerfully. Lisa noticed where the demon was heading and warned everyone that there was no shield there. Sophia's demonic god flew up to the sky where there was a place without protection. At this time, Yukino grabbed onto the demon's legs. She tried her best not to let the demon out. The demon was able to free one leg. Then, mercilessly, he began to strike Yukino's head with this foot. Yukino couldn't resist the blows and began to fall down. Someone used air cushion magic to make Yukino land gently. Lisa managed to save Yukino from a hard landing. She couldn't let go of the injured Yukino. The girls watched as the demon flew towards the open area of protection. At that moment, Lisa took her stick and began to apply the magic of shackles. Magic power appeared from Lisa's stick. The magical power that emerged from Liz's stick began to catch up with the demon. Lisa's magic grabbed the demon's legs and began to spiral around his body. Lisa didn't know what to do with the demon. Chrono was fighting the demonic god of the Vampire King. Lisa wasn't strong enough to defeat the demon god. Sophia's demonic god managed to free himself from Lisa's magic, and he started attacking Lisa, who was standing on the ground. Yukino shouted to warn Lisa. She was very scared and didn't know what to do. The demon started attacking Lisa. The demon's power did not manage to reach the girl. At that moment, the chain protected Lisa from the demon's attack. The demon was at a loss. Yukino breathed a sigh of relief. Lisa was very happy that Chrono had managed to save her. Chrono warned Lisa to take care of herself. The demon of the Vampire King began to attack Chrono with his fists. He tried to beat off the blows of his fist with a chain, but from each blow of the demon, the Chrono flew away. Chrono looked at the demon and realized that the demon of the Vampire King was trying to shoot him. Chrono realized that the demon of the Vampire King was protecting the demonic god Sophia. It was good for Chrono that the demonic gods were attacking him. The most important thing for Chrono right now was to defeat the demonic god Sophia. He flew a little away from the demonic god of the Vampire King. The most important thing for Chrono was not to let Sophia's demonic god escape. He was looking at his hand wrapped in a chain, and there was a small stone in the palm of the young man's hand. Lisa was standing on the ground and raised her hand up to which was her stick. A huge door appeared in front of her. This was the door to Chrono's dungeon. Chrono ordered Lisa to drag Sophia's demonic god through this door. Lisa listened to the Chrono. Then she said that if it gets dangerous, you can just close the doors to the dungeon. The dungeon door was a great big cage for 2 demonic gods. The most important thing was to get them there, then leave their dungeon. Lisa warned all the guys that she was going to lock the demonic god Sophia in the Chrono dungeon. All the guys hurried to the shelter. They warned each other so that everyone would hear. The girl started to open the doors. Cody noticed that the demon lord would not let them get close to them. Gildy readied his knife and was displeased with the demons. The girls noticed that Gildy's mood had changed. Gildy said that the demonic god had gathered them all together. This meant to Gildy that the demon had decided that they couldn't defeat him. Gildy was furious that he had been underestimated by the demons. The girls said that this was the trait they hated in Gildy. Cody pointed out that this only meant that they had to become stronger than they were now. The girls teamed up with Cody and Gildy. The guys first decided to get rid of the bats. They stood next to each other. Yukino began to fight off the bats with her hands. The guys told her to take care of herself. Because Yukino's head started bleeding, Yukino told the guys that she only had a scratch on her head. Yukino promised that she would help Sophia. She bravely said that it didn't hurt at all. Black bats flew over the yard and alternately attacked the guys. At that time, Sophia was lying on the bed in the infirmary. She was exhausted, but she was conscious. Sophia tried to get to her feet but immediately fell to the floor. Sophia tried to get up from the floor, but she couldn't do it. She didn't have the strength to get up. Then she decided to use her wings. With the help of them, she somehow understood her torso a little bit. Sophia held onto the iron pipe with her hands. Her wings couldn't lift her exhausted body. She tried her best to get up from her seat. Sophia managed to get back on her feet. She was holding onto the iron pipe of the screen with her hands. Sophia was very worried about the guys, and I asked them not to get hurt in the battle. At this time, Chrono was mercilessly fighting with his fists with the demonic god of the Vampire King. The Chrono was wrapped in impenetrable chains. Chrono decided that he would deal with the old man's demonic god first. At that, the demon only hissed. Suddenly, Sophia's demonic god began to speak. First, he turned to Chrono and called him a boy, then he introduced himself as Sophia. Chrono was surprised that the demon could speak. But then I remembered the old man's words. The Vampire King said that the demonic god takes away not only the owner's appearance, but also his thoughts and memories. Then Chrono turned to the demon and asked if he could speak. The old man's demonic god addressed Chrono as the old man addressed him and called him Chrono Boy. Chrono replied to the demonic god of the Vampire King that if it was really an old man, then he did not cut him in half. Chrono meant that there was only one part of the demon that wanted to fight him. Chrono wondered how he could not worry about his own daughter. The young man looked proudly at the demon and clenched metal chains with sharp tips in his fist. The young man warned the old demon that then he too would no longer hold back. Chrono prepared to fight at full strength. Lisa wrapped her magic around the entire body of the demonic god Sophia. She was holding a baton in her hands. Then she warned the demon not to move. Lisa was determined. Sophia's demonic god writhed under Lisa's magic, screamed, and couldn't get free. Lisa was standing near the door to the Chrono dungeon, and the demon stood taller than Lisa in the air. Lisa warned the demon that they would now go to the Chrono dungeon together. Suddenly, the girls noticed that huge black bats were approaching them. The 2 girls stood bravely defending Lisa. Sophia's demonic god resisted, and Lisa couldn't get the demon to drag him into Chrono's dungeon. Professor Dante turned to the Dragon Lord. Lisa fell to her knees. She felt that her mana had run out. The Vampire King shouted that they could suck out mana. Sophia's demonic god appeared above Lisa's head. She realized that she was trapped and that she would not be able to get out of here. The demonic god smiled solemnly as he saw Lisa give up. Suddenly, someone's foot swung next to the demon. She was quickly approaching the demon while she was distracted by Lisa. Lisa was sitting on her knees near the open gates of the Chrono dungeon, and a demon and Yukino were lying on the ground in front of her. Lisa saw Yukina grab the demon from behind and knock him to the ground. The Demon King shouted Yukino's name. She was very scared for the girl. At this time, the brave Yukino was twisting the demon's arms. The entire battle was watched by the exhausted Vampire King, next to whom was Professor Dante. The Vampire King was worried about Yukina and called her too reckless. The Vampire King turned to the demon and warned him that he would not be able to handle the Chrono. Yukino turned towards the Vampire King and told him not to worry. What she did would be enough to buy some time for Chrono. The Vampire King stared in surprise, and Lisa was happy and very grateful. Chrono turned around when someone called him. Lisa looked out through the dungeon doors and told Chrono that she understood everything. The young man was happy for Lisa. She promised that as soon as she sorted it out, then she would immediately go after them. The Vampire King called Lisa, but she didn't answer. The old man was very worried about Yukino and Lisa. Yukino and Lisa were able to drag Sophia's demonic god into Chrono's dungeon. The old man couldn't see anything behind the closed doors, and that's why he was very worried about the girls. Now, in a huge dungeon behind closed doors, Yukino and the Demon King stood against the demonic god Sophia. Sophia's demonic god soared high above Yukino and Lisa. There were tall columns in the huge dungeon, and the roof of the dungeon was dark. It was just the two of them, Yuki and Lisa, against the demon. The demon glared at them. The Vampire King asked Professor Dante why he didn't leave the students. Dante replied with confidence and pride that he believed in the Demon Lord and his disciples. Then Dante added that he still believes in the Chrono Boy. The demonic god of the Vampire King and Chrono stood opposite each other on the field. The young man was holding his sharp-tipped chains in his hands. Chrono firmly and decisively told the old man's demonic god that he was going to end this. The demonic god of the Vampire King stood in front of the boy, covered in black spots, with black wings. Suddenly, this demonic god of the old man began to shout and call the young man Chrono and the boy. Then the demon shouted menacingly. Something unusual began to appear from the black wings of the demon, black, and there were many of them. When Chrono saw something start to appear from the demon's wings, he realized that they were bloody blades. The demon pointed his hand towards the young man, and many sharp black blades obeyed his magic and began to fly towards Chrono. Chrono had both hands wrapped in a chain. He began to operate the chain with two hands, and on the fly, he began to smash the bloody blades of demons. The Vampire King saw that all the blades that were flying towards Chrono ended up on the ground. Professor Dante also couldn't believe that the blades had fallen to the ground. Even the longest blades were stuck to the ground. Then the demonic god of the Vampire King attacked the young man. The old man was very scared for the Chrono Boy. But the Chrono chains managed to stand in several rows so as not to miss the blades. Professor Dante was very surprised when Chrono told the demon that he had deflected all his blades. The old man's demonic god was very angry at the young man when he saw that his blades were left between the Chrono chains. Chrono, protecting his face, said that the demonic god of the Vampire King did not look like an old man at all. He would never fight so dirty. Chrono stood with chains and said that the Vampire King always fought him face to face. It was unusual for the Vampire King to hear such a thing from Chrono. The young man wrapped a chain around his hand and clenched his fist. Chrono prepared to strike, but before he told the demon that his master was tens and hundreds of times stronger than him, the young man decided to deal a crushing blow to the demon, and so he turned to the demon god. Chrono asked the demon not to get upset and just return to the old man's body. At these words, the demon god of the Vampire King laughed. Then Chrono decided to act decisively. She started wrapping a chain around her arm. Then he clenched his hand into a fist. Chrono was able to wrap a chain around the demonic god from the back, and to wound a demon with the sharp end. In this battle, Chrono took down the demonic god of the Vampire King on the spot. Chrono didn't just take down the demon, he managed to reach the demon's core with sharp tips on chains. Chrono remembered what the old man had told him, that the core was instead of the heart. Chrono remained standing still, seeing how the demon had lost the battle. The entire black essence of the demonic god immediately disappeared. Chrono watched as the demon's essence, without its power, returned to the Vampire King. The demon became drooping, quiet, and calm. Chrono immediately ran over as soon as he saw the Vampire King and Professor Dante. The boy asked the old man if he was alright. The Vampire King approached the boy and confessed that he was ashamed that Chrono had seen the inside of his mind. Chrono denied the old man's words. The boy said that the old man was a good father. The Vampire King thanked the boy Chrono. Now Chrono has decided to go after Sophia's demonic god. The old man wanted to go with the young man to the dungeon, but he suddenly had a headache. The Vampire King began to be comforted. Some of the guys wanted to stay and take care of the Vampire King. The girls wanted to go with Chrono. Gildy White said he would deal with this demon faster. Chrono. Professor Dante said there were still demonic bats on the streets. One of the guys said that he had destroyed every last one. The professor thought that he was trained every day in the dungeon with the dragon mark, and this young man just waved his hand. There was a Chrono in front of the door, in front of all the guys. Everyone was ready to enter the Chrono dungeon. All the guys were ready to fight the demonic god of Sophia. When Chrono was standing in front of the dungeon door, he heard knocks. She couldn't figure out what kind of knocks they were, but he knew for sure that it was knocks outside the door. When Chrono entered the dungeon, he saw a huge cliff in front of him. He couldn't figure out what had happened here. The guys went into the dungeon after Chrono, and they saw a huge hole in the dungeon on the floor in front of them. They all wanted to know where Lisa and Yukino were. A rope hangs from the fragments of the pit formed in the ceiling, which is held by 3 heroes. One of them asks if it's too high up here. Someone replies that the Chrono dungeon is a thorn in one place because you need to suffer so much just to get down to 1 level. Elsewhere, the girl says she doesn't understand how there can be 400 floors in this dungeon, and someone from the team suddenly draws everyone's attention to the ruins around. He says that they must have had a good fight here, and someone says that they just need to follow the footsteps. At the same time, Archon Chrono tells his teammates that they need to hurry up very much. Continuing to move forward and lead the team, the main character recalls how he was standing in front of the pit wondering where Lisa and Yukino were. Standing in front of the pit, one of the heroes asks if this destruction is the work of the demonic god of the princess. The watchers are amazed at how destructive this force is. The heroes discuss that some sounds are heard downstairs, and when they already decide to go there, a man suddenly appears in the doorway and stops this attempt by the heroes. The vampire says that Sophia's demonic god has cornered them. He says that the demon is using this dungeon against them. Everyone in the team is amazed by this. An explanation follows that the Devil's Strike is a very destructive ability that can only be used by those who are compatible with the demon god, and Sophia's demonic god, as the explanation suggests, is more than capable of using this creepy ability. The hero thinks about these words, remembering that when the whole body of the demonic god starts to glow red, they need to run as far away from him as possible. The main character thinks that Lisa and Yukino should be more careful until they get to them. Dante and the vampire who spoke to the heroes are standing in front of a door. The vampire's face is as thoughtful as possible at this moment. At this time, the girls approach them. They turn to Professor Dante, responding. He asks the visitors about where the barrier is. The newcomers reply that the barrier has been activated and has completely covered the entire courtyard. They say that even with the power of a demonic god, it would be easily destroyed. They say that Chrono has a dungeon, otherwise things would be very bad. The vampire asks Dante if Sophia is okay, to which Dante turns to King Grave. He tells him that he does not need to do this. At this moment, Sophia appears from the dungeon, which shocks her father. She's trying to tell him something about Chrono and the guys. But her father interrupts her. He tells Sophia that he will immediately follow the demonic god to the Chrono boy's dungeon. Sophia tells her father that she will go too. But King Grave tries to stop his daughter, telling her that she can barely stand up. To her father's intense concern, Sophia tells him that she does not want to just sit here, as they are all fighting there. Uzchina looks at her in surprise. King Grave tells Sophia that she has very little mana right now, so even if she goes outside in this state, she will only slow everyone down. Sophia understands his words, but she is still sad. But the next second, the father shares his own mana with Sophia. He apologizes to her, telling his daughter that this is all he has left, but it should be enough for her to use her wings. And when Sophia looks at him with eyes full of gratitude, the father gently tells his daughter that it's time for her to go. Sophia bows to her father at the waist as a sign of gratitude. The father responds to his daughter's bow with a smile. However, as soon as Sophia disappears through the dungeon gates, King Grave falls due to lack of energy, but Professor Dante manages to catch the vampire in time. Professor Dante orders one of the students to bring a stretcher, and looking at the vampire's face, he says they're all very reckless. Afterwards, throwing back his head, Professor Dante asks, addressing the Demon King, if she is okay. At the same time, somewhere in the dungeon, 2 girls are running away from a girl flying after them. The girl strikes a hard blow against the wall, which causes it to crumble into large fragments that interfere with the escapees. With cries of caution, the girls continue to run away. At the same moment, the Demon Queen Lisa thinks that they need to do everything possible, and immediately after that thought, the girl flying behind them swings something like a whip right in front of the running. Why do both girls fall? And when Yukino wakes up, she realizes that her companion was unconscious. She tries to bring the Demon King out of a state of oblivion, calls the heroine by name, but she does not wake up. Therefore, Yukino shields her from the threat flying behind them. After exchanging dissatisfied glances full of mutual contempt, the girls begin to fight with each other. After several attacks, Yukino bounces back. She realizes that it is very difficult for her, and her own attacks cannot reach the enemy in any way. But the heroine rushes into battle again, as she realizes that she simply cannot lose to her opponent. However, after a flurry of her best attacks, the enemy suddenly delivers a strong cutting blow to the heroine's lower body. While Yukino is throwing it away. Lying in a semi-conscious state, the girl thinks that her whole body is in great pain and there is no effect from her own attacks. But suddenly Yukino remembers that she promised Sophia that she would do it, and at the same moment she hears Lisa's faint voice calling her name. Yukino keeps thinking that she would like to do her best for Sophia. She briefly dives into memories, where she hugs Sophia and tells her that she is just glad that she is doing well. But the enemy's blow brings Yukino back to reality. She manages to repel the attack, to the strong surprise of her opponent. Yukino's spirits soared. She realized what she needed to fight for, to regain Sophia's freedom. Yukino easily manages to bypass his enemy's attacks, and after a series of difficult jumps, the heroine epically delivers a strong blow to her opponent. Yukino tells her rival that she has finally done it, but she suddenly starts screaming shrilly. Yukino jumps away from the enemy for several meters. But the distance was not enough, so the stunned girl falls unconscious on the cold floors of the dungeon, which greatly scares Lisa. All this time, the enemy continues his piercing scream. She says that she is not here for the sake of a certain Saruna. And as she continues her screams, she starts indiscriminately lashing out everywhere. At the same time, Lisa is holding Yukino in her arms. She asks her enemy why she is doing all this. But their opponent is in a strange agony and continues to hit everything around. Suddenly, a piece of the wall breaks. It falls on the girls. Realizing this, Lisa realizes that she and Yukino are in a hopeless and very dangerous situation. The Demon King puts up an air defense, but at the very last moment she realizes that she has no mana left, and the fragment of the wall is already very close. But suddenly, the heroine suddenly realizes that the dungeon is beginning to recover quickly. Huge fragments of walls fall into place, and Lisa slowly begins to realize what is happening now. It was Archon Chrono and his companions who arrived to rescue the girls. Long chains were moving away from the hero's hands. The attacker is surrounded in an instant and dealt many strong blows. She is imprisoned in double ice chains and then attacked together. Archon Chrono anxiously runs up to the rescued girls. He asks the heroines if they are okay, to which Lisa replies to the main character that he has amazing control of the dungeon and then sincerely thanks him for his help. Lisa tells the main character that while they were waiting for him in the dungeon, it was as if they were cut into pieces, to which Chrono seriously asks the girls not to be so reckless. But the very next moment Gildy Agni calls Chrono, addressing him as a guru. When the main character turns around, a terrible picture appears in front of him as each of his teammates lies almost unconscious. And the girl who attacked Lisa and Yukino before is standing unharmed, but very angry about what was happening to her. Chrono became even more serious. And winding chains on his hands, the main character says that he will not allow the personality of the demonic god Sophia to become even more uncontrollable, as Sophia will be sad. Chrono says he will put an end to what is happening here immediately. At the same time, the girl begins to make strange noises, preparing for her next lashing attack. She swings, and slightly wounds Chrono's cheek, but he is so focused that he does not even pay any attention to it, and the next second, he's already hitting his opponent hard. But to Lisa's defeat, nothing happens. The fist of the main character did not move the attacker an inch. The attacker got very angry. She calls the names, Doitsumo, Koitsumo, Chrono, Saruna. And the main character jumps away from her a few meters with words about whether what is happening is what the old man told him about. He remembers his words that if the body of the demonic god glows red, then they need to get as far away from him as possible. Everyone is hurriedly trying to get ready to leave this place as soon as possible, and Lisa is surprised to notice that she would never have thought that someone would be able to withstand the impact of a Chrono. Gildyfire is trying to reason with the Demon King, to tell her that they need to get out of here as soon as possible. The teammates, seeing the eerie red light, ask each other to get together and come to their senses. The heroes realize that they no longer have time to leave, since the process of the Devil Strike has already begun. The main character created a high and thick stone wall with his touch, which covered his team. Everyone is amazed by what is happening, and anxiously waiting for what will happen next. Chrono holds his solid wall while the demonic god implements his strongest attack. The attack destroys everything in its path, columns, floor, walls, but the hero's structure remains intact, supported by his own mana. The heroes understand that nothing good will happen. and therefore they collectively decide to move closer to the center of the wall, escaping from this terrifying power of the demonic god. Lisa calms everyone down, telling them that this wall will protect them as it is all filled with chrono energy. But at the same moment, the upper pieces of the wall begin to break off under the crazy pressure of alien energy. Lisa hugs Yukino closer to her in an attempt to protect the girl. The Demon King closes his eyes, but realizing that everything is quiet, she opens her eyes and then decides to look out over the chrono structure. Looking out, she is surprised to realize that everything is gone. The heroine is afraid to think about whether she knows if she is wrong, but it seems to her that the wall that was in front of Chrono is now destroyed. The Demon King Lisa hopes that he, Archon Chrono, must be somewhere here among all these terrible fragments and devastation. Meanwhile, Sophia is flying in some part of the dungeon. After a while, the girl notices the glow of magical power in front of her. After that, she is overtaken by the same explosion. Hiding behind one of the columns, Sophia thinks that they cannot let themselves be caught by her demonic god. The heroine is thinking excitedly about the Chrono. The team, trapped in a ruined dungeon, is trying to find Chrono. They are afraid of what could happen to him. Hearing a sound, Lisa rushes at him, thinking that she has found the main character, but unfortunately, it turns out to be a demonic god. The enemy begins to utter some strange phrases, and then moves towards the Demon King to attack her. But the very next moment, fragments of the destroyed dungeon fly into the demonic god. It is Chrono who appears from under the rubble, the main character says, which means that this was a demonic blow. Brushing off the dust, he calmly says that this could have been avoided even without walls. The morale of the team rises strongly. As soon as they see that Chrono is alive and well, they cheerfully raise their hands and greet the main character. They tell Chrono that he did a good job, and then ask him to defeat the demonic god. At this time, the main character is standing directly in front of his opponent. Lisa tells her teammates that they need to get the wounded man to a safe place while they have time for this. And at the same time, the Demon King is told that something has happened. Sophia has arrived. Everyone surrounds the heroine, sincerely surprised at her appearance. Meanwhile, the vampire asks the guys about how they are. Sophia, who has arrived, suddenly notices Yukino, who is in a rather serious condition after the battle. Yukino notices Sophia. Sophia realizes at the same moment that she is in great pain. She apologizes to the guys. She says that she knows that nothing can be done about it, notices that they are all badly injured, and then she asks the guys for permission to at least be with them. To which her friends respond with sincere support. They tell the heroine that this is a big deal. The heroes ask Sophia to stay with them, and also offer her to defeat the demonic god together and then go home together. Seeing such a warm reaction from her comrades to her request, Sophia realizes that she is touched to the depths of her soul. But at this time, Gildy Agni gives a voice. He says that even if they decided to do this, then how will they achieve their goal? He says that even Chrono's skills are not good enough against a demonic god. After such words, Gildy is told that he has no right to say so, and that Chrono is their only hope of victory. After such words, the Demon King says that everything is fine with Chrono. And then, looking at the sad faces of her friends, the heroine tells them that they need to trust Chrono. At the same time, the main character is facing a serious battle. He is standing in front of the demonic god, preparing to attack. Chrono says that the current situation reminds him of the old days. He tells his opponent that when he was a child, he could not break through the protection of his old man. The main character briefly plunges into memories in which his old man tells the main character that he cannot be scared like this when Chrono strikes in his defense. And then the main character says that his old man is too strong. At the moment, Chrono says that he envies that time, because he had a lot of fun back then. And the next moment, both of them are preparing to attack. Chrono rests on the ground with such force that the floor of the dungeon cracks, which surprises his opponent a little. And the onlookers are watching in amazement. Lisa and the other guys notice a lot of chains. They notice that the Chrono chains on the right leg collect a huge amount of magic. And then the main character, with a menacing expression on his face, tells his opponent to try this trick of his. After the start of the Chrono attack, the body of the demonic god begins to glow red again, and his teammates notice this. They begin to wonder what might happen if he strikes again. After all, the magic of a demonic god is equivalent to a blow from a demonic god, nothing more. But now it's different. The power of Chrono's opponent is now concentrated at one point, so, according to Lisa, this can harm the main character. However, the very next moment, the opponent sends a ball with a concentrate of energy directly at the main character. Chrono accepts this attack. Sophia, seeing this, begins to worry a lot and even shouts out Chrono's name. And the main character's opponent is happy. But the very next moment, the demonic god's face expresses surprise as the main character suddenly appears from above, starting to attack. With a shout, the main character launches his chains straight into the core of his opponent. This incredibly strong blow with chains leaves a real hole in his opponent's chest. The core of the demonic god is damaged. She looks in surprise at the hole made by the Chrono in her own chest. And then the heroine falls backwards. The main character won this fight. The Chrono teammates discuss the situation. They ask each other if everything is over and what it was all about. But at this moment, Lisa notices something and stops their conversation. The demonic god continues his strange, weakened attempts to say something. Sophia notices that he was saying these words all the time, and during the battle in the courtyard, he tried to fly away altogether. The girl decides to come over. The girl's face expresses immense sadness. She thinks that the malice of her demonic god is what is in her own heart. The heroine talks about the fact that it has been in her head since childhood. Like Grave, she must protect the vampire kingdom. With these thoughts, the girl plunges into her past. Sophia recalls her conversation with her father when she was very young. He asked her if she would always be with him, to which his daughter agreed. The girl sweetly replied to King Grave that she would be as great a vampire as her father and mother. She says that together with her father she will make this country great again. Reflecting, the heroine thinks that the words she uttered, not knowing what they meant, brought a smile to her father's face. So, in Sophia's opinion, of course, this is the right thing to do. She remembers how, sitting by the window, she thought that she would forever admire this beautiful landscape, only this particular landscape. Sophia remembers how happy she was when her father returned, asking him how his trip went this time, and the way her father answered her that even though the road was difficult, they did what they wanted. Her father told her that after doing this noble deed for their country, he had a new friend. Sophia still didn't understand who her father was talking about. But the girl had already realized that when King Gray returned from his trip, he was much more talkative than usual and also looked happy. Then Sophia remembers how, as a child, she looked out the big window, thinking that she was interested in finding out what was there. After all, she had never been anywhere but this place and knew nothing about the world. She recalled how her parents had discussed that the demon school was located in the Demon King's castle, and about the fact that this castle is far away, her father said that he could teach her at home. But Sophia insisted on this decision. She asked to be allowed to go to the demon school. She recalled that the Demon King's castle was very crowded. She had her own point of view, her own values. She noticed that somewhere along the way, she always wanted to be free. But actually, something was holding her back. At the moment, after all her thoughts, Sophia breaks out and hugs her demonic god. Hugging, she says that something was holding back her freedom, but it was just her. She apologizes and expresses her sincere gratitude, and then her demonic god tells her that it's finally over, and then disappears without a trace. At the same time, Professor Dante is standing in front of the entrance to the dungeon, and when he hears the jester, he realizes that his students are coming back now, and his face lights up with a joyful and slightly tired smile. The whole team of heroes comes out of the dungeon, with words about their wonderful victorious return home. At the same time, King Grave is in his chambers, standing in front of a mirror, straightening his tie. He suddenly notices someone in the reflection. This is Sophia. She's asking about how her father is doing, to which he replies to her that he is fine. Coming closer to his daughter, he praises her for a job well done, and then she adds that now that the demonic god is completely in her power, she will no longer be idle. Sophia responds with sincere words of gratitude to everyone. She tells her father that until now she has only done what she was told to do without thinking about it. She says she didn't even doubt anything. Sophia tells her father that thanks to Chrono, she thought that they could stay here and finally find out what they want to do. Sophia tells her father that she wants to know what she can do at this school in the future. And then, with a sweet smile, she asks her father if he could look after her. He tells his daughter with a smile that she is growing very fast and getting stronger by the minute. He tells Sophia that she is free, which means her own life is only in her own hands, which his daughter absolutely agrees with. But the very next moment, her father tells her that he will worry about it, but as a parent, he can't help himself, and also asks his daughter to understand this, which Sophia sweetly agrees with. The next moment there is a knock on the door. Sophia turns around at the sound. Yukino informs them that everything is ready. She asks them to go, and also fleetingly wonders what they were talking about here. They are waiting to celebrate the victory over the demonic god Sophia at a party in a diner, and the heroes follow the right path through the corridors of the castle. Sophia gently asks Yukino how she feels, to which the girl replies to her that everything is fine. The next moment, Sophia rushes to apologize to her interlocutor. but Yukino stops her. She asks Sophia not to apologize as she did what she wanted, that's all. And then, squeezing Sophia's hand, she sincerely tells her that she is very glad that Sophia is doing well. The father watches the girl's conversation with a kind smile and then tells Sophia that she has a good friend. At the same time, Chrono is talking to Gildy Ognii. The main character tells his interlocutor that he just wants to know how he really feels. He tells him that he likes him very much, and then he asks Gildy if he still hates him. To which his interlocutor, a little embarrassed, replies to the main character that it's not that he hates him at all. He tells Chrono that the truth is that he likes him too. At this point, their teammates intervene. They say that the fact that Gildy likes Chrono is very sweet, and some of them even demand to order a barrel of parfait immediately. At this moment, Yukino, Sophia and her father enter the hall. Yukino tells them that they were told that they would have a parfait here after the battle with the demonic god. When they see the arrivals, they are immediately called to join the fun. Everyone is glad that all three of them are finally here. They are being urged in every possible way to come closer, and Chrono is trying to find out how Sophia is feeling, and then he asks about the old man's well-being, for which he is thanked. Chrono and King Grave step aside a little, watching the joyful Sophie and Yukino, who have already managed to immerse themselves in the atmosphere of celebration. King Gray tells Chrono that he is now in his debt, but Chrono asks the vampire not to talk like that, smiling happily back at him. The heroes strike with their fists as a sign of unity. A little later, a lot of mouth-watering dishes are on the table. The characters are in anticipation. They jokingly tell each other that if they are not hungry, then the other can eat for them, and Lisa immediately asks for more. After that, the Demon King turns to Sophia's father, offering him a drink, to which King Grave gladly agrees, after which Lisa fills his glass. The Demon King tells the audience that they are all great fellows. She invites everyone to celebrate this victory together, as well as the happy return of Sophia. Everyone cheerfully raises their glasses. Happy faces, confetti, clinking glasses, smiles and laughter are everywhere. Everyone drinks to their victory, eats delicious food, and happily watches each other's happiness. After a while, the cook enters the room. He says that their order is ready. And then an incredibly huge parfait is brought into the hall by Super Mega to enthusiastic cheers. Gildy asks if it's too big, to which he is laughingly asked if he is afraid that he will not be able to eat it. Others with shining eyes, almost pouncing on dessert, wish each other a pleasant appetite. Everyone happily tastes the parfait and admires its chocolate flavor. And Yukino even declares that she is ready to eat everything. Someone asks to leave some fruit so that there is enough for absolutely everyone. The characters discuss a large number of people, the taste of dessert, possible weight gain, as well as the fact that Chrono is again all in the girl's attention. The main character, eating his dessert, happily realizes that he is incredibly happy now. All the participants take a joint photo as a keepsake. After some time, the main character sits quietly and watches what is happening around him. At this moment, Sophia approaches him. She asks Chrono if she can stand with him. Chrono asks the heroine if it's really fun here right now. She tells her interlocutor that if she hadn't gone to the castle of the Demon King, she definitely wouldn't have been able to experience something like this. Sophia sincerely thanks Chrono, to which the main character, with a little embarrassment, tells her that he did nothing, to which Sophia tells him that it's not just that. The heroine adds that she is glad that she was able to meet him, Chrono, when she entered school. She says she's very glad she found him. Chrono is embarrassed by the words of his interlocutor. He tells Sophia that he was also glad to meet her, to which the heroine silently puts her head on his shoulder. This gesture slightly embarrasses the main character. But noticing the immobility of the girl's face and its calm expression, the hero realizes that Sophia has fallen asleep. Clinging to his shoulder, the girl tells Chrono that a lot has happened since yesterday. She tells the main character a little sleepily that it was cool and that it was good. To which Chrono notices that it's not easy for her right now, and also presses his head against her head. At the same time, King Grave is standing on the road leading out of the castle. He's going to move out of the castle. Lisa asks him if he's coming back yet. The Demon King tells him that she thinks he hasn't even said goodbye to Chrono and Sophia yet, and then she asks King Grave why he doesn't stay at the castle for the night. To which he replies to her that they have settled the matter with the demonic god, and there are no more problems. He also hasn't said anything to his wife yet. He says that he will write a letter when he returns. And then he suddenly tells Lisa that there is one thing she will definitely need to take care of. The Demon King looks at the vampire questioningly. King Grave tells his interlocutor that some strange force is circling around the castle of the Demon King. To which Lisa reacts with absolute incomprehension and even asks her interlocutor what kind of strange force we are talking about now. To which her interlocutor tells her that he heard a voice that told him to wake up immediately. He also tells her that it was a voice that he assumed only vampires could hear. King Grave tells Lisa that he thinks this is the reason the demonic gods Eagle and Sophia suddenly became so violent. He tells the Demon King that he is worried about it, to which his interlocutor assures the hero that she will definitely take care of it. After such a conversation, King Grave says goodbye to the heroes and leaves the castle. After that, Professor Dante and Lisa are still looking at the road running away into the distance. And then they leave, and the Demon King jokingly suggests that the professor come back and have a drink with her, to which Dante responds with reluctance. The main character is sleeping sweetly in his bed. In a half-doze, he thinks about what comfortable sensations he is in, and also that he absolutely does not want to wake up and get up. He also thinks that he is sure that Lisa told him that she was taking a day off. But after all these thoughts, the hero wakes up from some sudden sensation, but when he opens his eyes, he notices someone. This is Sophia. The girl gently hovers over the main character. The current situation is very confusing for Chrono. He calls the heroine by name. But the girl does not respond to his words at all. Chrono wonders if it could all be because of a demonic god. He notices that Sophia's face is somehow empty, and thinking about it, the hero concludes that perhaps now is not the best time. But the very next second, Sophia does something strange. The girl calls him a cute dog and then hugs him with all her heart, with a sweet expression on her face. Why does the main character conclude that she, Sophia, is just walking in her sleep? And he tells himself that he just needs to leave. But the very next second, something else happens. Yukino hugs the main character from behind. Chrono realizes that this girl also walks in her sleep, as the heroine tries to bite him, calling him a sweet chicken. And in response to Chrono's statement that he is not food, Yukino only tells him that he will not let him leave. Distracted by what happened, the main character accidentally grabs Sophia, after which he is very embarrassed. Due to his intense embarrassment, Chrono apologizes very loudly. Why do both girls wake up and greet the main character? After some time, the heroines notice that Chrono is sitting on his lap. They ask the main character about the reason. To which Chrono, addressing his interlocutors by name, seriously and confusedly tells them that they should quickly buy a new bigger bed. To which Sophia and Yukino reply to him that everything is fine with them, and the main character thinks that maybe they don't have any problems, but every day he wakes up every day with almost a heart attack. After some time, the characters walk around the city. Someone's strange speech reaches Chrono's ears. Turning around, he asks what is going on there, but he is distracted by Yukino and Sophia, beckoning him to her. The heroes are standing in front of a place that is the best furniture store in the city. It's called a bird's nest. Sophia notices that this is very cute, and Chrono is completely stunned into silence, seeing the small size of the house in front of him. Chrono tells Yukino that despite the fact that she is leading them, he finds it hard to believe that a large bed can be found in such a small store. But his interlocutor assures the main character that everything is fine, as he will understand everything when he enters the store. Chrono really turns out to be very surprised as soon as they enter this furniture store. Various interior items and furniture are flying everywhere in it. And despite the apparent small size of the store itself, it accommodates a truly large number of different items. Yukino says that this store is actually a dungeon and that it expands with magic. As he walks past the rows, Chrono realizes that he doesn't even know where to start. But at the same time, a rabbit in a top hat runs up to them, sincerely thanking the heroes for their expectation. He asks Chrono about what he will be looking for in the store today. The hero is very happy about the appearance of the store owner and even in a sense exhales and relaxes. The main character tells him about his desire to find a bigger bed, to which the rabbit tells the hero that he understood him and then directs him to the bed section. The owner of the store asks Chrono if he is a student. After hearing a positive answer, the rabbit tells the main character that if so, then he probably has a lot to do, usually, and he is very busy. The rabbit points the Chrono at one of the small beds. He tells him that it is a durable and inexpensive product and also popular among students. But the main character asks the owner if he has a bigger bed, to which he is asked if she is already big for him. But Chrono asks the rabbit if there is anything safe to sleep on for the three of them, pointing to Sophia and Yukino. Upon hearing this phrase, the rabbit is very surprised that this hero sleeps with two at once. Irritably thinking that the young student in front of him is too cheeky, Rabbit tells Chrono that this bed, unfortunately, is the largest. to which the main character says that in such a situation they have problems. But the very next moment, Rabbit tells Chrono that if he is willing to pay a little more for the bed, then he has something special. However, Chrono quickly notices some kind of bed, and interrupting the rabbit, tells him that he needs it. The consultant doubtfully tells the rabbit that it is unlikely that a student could afford such a thing, but the owner of the store assures her that it is absolutely unimportant and asks her to comply with the request. The next moment, the bed, which had been floating in the dungeon space up to that moment, is lowered, right in front of the surprised heroes. Yukino and Sophia are happy about the bed. They say that it is pretty and that it is very soft and fluffy. After seeing such a reaction from the girls, Chrono points to the bed and asks the store owner about its price. Rabbit says that the King of Bones is a rare craftsman who is considered the best of all dwarves, and this is a gemstone that is used in a variety of precious imperial materials that can withstand the weight of giants and dragons. And the price of this bed is 2 million gold. Upon hearing about this, people around, wondering at the price of 2 million gold, say that this is a 30-year average annual income of a demon. But Chrono, with a sincere smile on his face, tells the store owner that he is buying this bed. The rabbit is shocked by this outcome of the case. He even asks the main character again about what he said to him. But Chrono is already looking for something in his jacket pocket. Soon he finds an object, from which he takes out the amount necessary to buy a bed. Walking away, the hero tells the rabbit to tell him if this amount is not enough. The rabbit looks at the money in surprise and says that he does not know what to do. Chrono asks the shopkeeper if he can take the bed with him. The rabbit is still in shock. To which the rabbit says that he certainly does not mind, but as he already mentioned, this bed is made of a special material, so it is impossible to lift it without magic. But the owner of the store does not have time to finish his sentence, as the main character has already raised the bed high above his head, striking everyone who was in the store at that time. The shopkeeper thinks that this bed weighs at least 3 tons. He wonders how such a guy could even lift it, and the main character at the same time just stands and waits for his companions to come. When the girls finally show up, they tell Chrono that they also bought some furniture for his dungeon and then ask him if they can take it with them, to which he gratefully agrees. And at the same time, a girl approaches the store owner. She tells him that the bed buyer's companions have just named him Chrono. The rabbit asks in surprise about the name of the main character, and then a strange realization comes to him who exactly is standing in front of him. Still not believing in what is happening, the rabbit tells the main character that he is the Chrono hero of the city. The hero is surprised by such words. There are shouts of disbelief, admiration, and surprise from the assembled crowd of citizens, and one of the passers-by, pointing to Chrono's companion, says that she is probably this beautiful girl, the angel of salvation, Sophia. Chrono asks the shopkeeper what they are all talking about, to which Rabbit replies that the whole town is talking about them, and then he wonders how he himself could not have guessed this before. And when the heroes ask again about whether the whole city is really talking about them, the rabbit begins to tell them that the Vampire King came to the city the other day. The rabbit continues his story. He says that his roar was all over the city, and the light of destruction came from his eyes as despair overcame the inhabitants of this city. And at that moment, when everyone was ready to give up, that boy came, and with just one little finger of his hand, he saved the city from the raging, demon-tearing Vampire King, and it was all the work of the hero of the city of Chrono, and the anger of the Vampire King subsided precisely thanks to the gentle voice of Sophia, the angel of salvation. Understanding the whole situation, Chrono says that now it is clear to him what the townspeople were talking about. Sophia apologizes to the audience in great embarrassment, saying that she does not know how to sing at all. And Chrono asks Yukino to stop trying so hard to hold back his laughter. But at the same time, Rabbit was saying that he had just said at the union meeting yesterday that they should build a bronze statue for the two of them, that it was necessary to convey this gratitude to future generations. The main character desperately thinks that he would like them to stop. And when the heroes are about to leave, the rabbit, led by others gathered, tells them words of gratitude for visiting their city. As they leave, the characters jokingly talk about the exploits that they have already managed to come up with and bring to the point of absurdity. But after a short period of time, Sophia and Chrono are shouted at by someone. These are the townspeople. They ask the heroes to shake their hands and thank them for saving the city, and someone even calls them to their bar, where everything will be on the house. Yukino, with purchases in her hands, tries to leave quietly, but noticing her, Sophia and Chrono begin to ask the heroine for their salvation. After returning home, the hero thinks that he is in big trouble. He says that he doesn't think they should come to town until things calm down, but the main character notices that thanks to Sophia and Yukino, his dungeon has become much more lively, and then he happily plops down on a new bed. The main character thinks that now he will finally be able to sleep normally, but he wakes up again in the arms of the girls, which greatly disappoints him. Chrono says that today is the day when in the 10th dungeon you can find an item that can break the slave contract. Before going on a mission, the guys talk sweetly to each other and joke, and then everyone decides to split up and look for this very subject. Chrono is heading along with Yukino, Sophia, and Lisa. Some of the departed start talking to each other, asking if they had reached the bottom of this oasis, to which she is asked to take her time and act more carefully. The girl is worried that she might anger the monster, just like last time. But the next moment, the girls notice some strange object. Aku realizes that this is Lily's choking object, and the next moment she starts calling her companion and even gets scared without finding her. But the next moment, Lily shows up from behind a tree and calls her friend to come with her, and when Akue asks her about what's going on right now, the girl asks her to take a look at something. The girl points her finger at the points glowing in the dark, showing her friend this sight. Lily tells her that these are fireflies. They are beautiful. Akue asks Lily to stay away from everything she doesn't know. But the girl only happily tells her companion that she is fine, and also suggests calling the others to look at such beauty. And while the girl was having fun, one of the fireflies manages to fly into her mouth, after which the girl makes a strange sound, and when a friend asks her about what happened, but Lily says she swallowed it. After a while, Chrono tells Sophia that he will have special classes in the afternoon. Sophia asks the main character if this is going to be a story of a demonic kind, but suddenly, Akue appears in the corridor. She is in a hurry. The heroes shout out to the girl, and noticing that she is in a hurry, ask her about the reasons. Then Sophia and Chrono notice ice in Akue's hands, and ask what it is for. It turns out that it's all about Lily. Sophia and Chrono enter the room where Lily is being taken care of. Girls. Those around her say that they need more ice, and that they need to pour more water quickly. Akue tells the characters, who are amazed by this scene, that Lily's temperature has increased abnormally since they returned from the 10th dungeon. She also says that she has collected all the water in the castle to cool it, but does not come out. And when Lily tries to say something, only some indistinct strange words come out of her mouth, and the ice in the bathroom quickly melts and boils. The girl's body is just burning. At that moment, the Demon King enters their room. She tells them what she thinks. Who knows why this is happening? When they see Lisa, both the heroes who came rejoice at her appearance, and Lisa tells them that they, Sophia and Chrono, came just in time. Lisa asks how Lily is doing now, to which she is told that everything is the same for now. The Demon King tells the audience that she had cast a recovery spell on the bathtub several times before, and then she directs an owl magic staff at a sick Lily. Lisa tells the audience that she needs them, Sophia and Chrono, to help her save Lily's life, and then the Demon King asks the heroes if they could join her in the search. To which both Sophia and Chrono agree, saying that they will do everything possible to help Lily. Lisa says there was only one article in the archives related to Lily's symptoms, and based on this, the reason for Lily's abnormally high temperature is one of the magic of the young dungeon. She tells the audience that it is a fluorescent worm. To these words of the Demon King, Akue says that this is just one of those creatures that Lily inhaled. Sophia repeats the name of the worm in surprise once again. Lisa explains that it is a kind of beetle, but, so to speak, it is a magic grain. These are the ones that exist in every dungeon, and they always give off heat. And Chrono notes that, probably, this is the reason why the 10th dungeon is able to withstand such a high temperature. Lisa continues. She says that these are the things that usually have no effect on the body if they get inside the body. But since Akue and Lily are a race of aquatic people, they have the ability to change their body temperature according to their environment. Akue confirms these words by saying that on an ice lake, their body becomes cold, and like water in the ice season, the thicker the surface, the warmer their body becomes. That's what happened to Lily. Aku says she's sure Lily thinks she's being directly affected by the heat generated by the fluorescent insects. Akue asks about how she can get this fluorescent worm out, but Lisa tells her that, unfortunately, the book does not say how it can be done, and when Akue begins to doubt, Lisa assures her that there is always a way to help Lily. Hope appears in the eyes of the heroes at these words. The Demon King tells the audience that there is a magical object, a snowmoon laurel flower, and with it they will be able to neutralize the heat of the fluorescent insects inside the lily. But Chrono asks where they can get a snowmoon laurel flower. The hero really wants to help his friend. To which Lisa tells the heroes that there is the coldest place in the world, covered with snow and water, called the 28th dungeon of the Demon King, known as the White Embankment. The guys understand that if they can get there and get a flower, then Akue will be able to help the sick Lily. And Chrono says that everything is decided. They go to the 28th dungeon of the Demon King to find a snow moon laurel flower there. After a moment's thought, the Demon King looks towards the heroes who are about to embark on a journey. She then tells the audience that she will stay at the castle to look after Lily. She says that Akue should also stay at the Demon King's castle. To Akue's surprised exclamation, Lisa explains to her that her magic is not stable now, and that she can no longer use her magic to the fullest. To which Akue immediately declares that this is not true. Then she stretches out her hand and tries to use ice magic, but only a small snowflake flies out of her palm. The heroine apologizes to the guys, telling them that, to tell the truth, she has always been unable to use her magic without Lily by her side. She says it's been like this since Lily fell. She also adds that the fact is that she used magic to keep Lily cold. That's the problem. Lisa is thinking at this time that the turmoil of the mind affects magic. It's quite reasonable to see your best friend in such pain. But interrupting Lisa's thoughts, Akue asks to let her go with them anyway. She says she just can't believe she's just stuck here when there's a way to help her dear friend. After some hesitation, Sophia asks in front of Lisa for Akue to join them. She says Akue is very strong in the cold, and dungeon exploration is not something that can be done with magic alone. At this point, Chrono enters the conversation. He also asks Lisa, saying that he would like to do the same himself. The main character says that this is a feeling, a desire to do everything to help his friends. Akue is deeply moved by Sophia and Chrono's words. And the Demon King, after thinking for a while, tells the guys that the 28th dungeon was mostly untouched, that there is little or no information about it. She tells the guys with a smile that you never know whose abilities you will need. After that, she tells the touched guys that they go to the dungeon in the 3rd, for which she receives their gratitude. After that, Akue sincerely thanks Sophia and Chrono for their help, to which the characters, looking at each other, smile sweetly. After a while, Yukino comes up to the guys. She tells them that she wants to go too. The characters, noticing Yukino, ask her what is wrong with her face. Under the surprised gaze of the Demon King, she says that she and Lisa followed in the footsteps together, and she thought they would disappear before she knew about it. Yukino tells the guys that she went ahead and explored the 28th dungeon, and she now has a small map. She says she also thought she'd better get her things in order if she wanted to move on, so she came back. After seeing Yukino's armor, the main character asks her about how often she walked in this form, to which the girl replies to him that the resistance to the cold took her by surprise. Lisa laughs at Yukino's words. The heroine confusedly asks the Demon King about the reason for her laughter, to which Lisa replies with a smile that she thinks Yukino will be a good friend. After a while, the heroes, dressed in warmer clothes, say goodbye to the Demon King, telling her that they are going. Well, Lisa in response tells them that she is counting on them. Sophia and Chrono go down some steps. The main character notices that a cold wind has started, which means that they are probably entering the dungeon. After a short period of time, the characters notice that it has become very bright. They even squint a little at the light, amazed at the beautiful view unfolding in front of them. They enthusiastically realize that this is the 28th dungeon. The heroes notice that there is a lot of snow here. Akue says that this world of snow and ice is just beautiful. Sophia happily says that with the equipment that Lisa provided them, it's not so cold. Chrono says that this dungeon is as big as the 10th dungeon, but Yukino convinces the main character, telling him that she has already checked, and in fact, it is not as big as it seems. Yukino points his finger at a place on the map, telling the satellites that they are here. And then the heroine explains that the map shows the areas they have explored, and they have not yet seen snow trees anywhere in this range. Chrono says that then they will go to an unknown area, and they will start by walking along the river. After some time of the hero's campaign, Sophia slips on the ice and falls. The main character helps her up and also asks the girl if she is okay, to which the girl answers in the affirmative, although she confusedly adds that she has simply never been to a place where there is so much snow. At the same time, Yukino asks Akue if everything really looks just fine, to which Akue, after a little thought, replies that it's like winter at her house. After this phrase, Chrono asks Akue to tell them about his house. A little embarrassed, Akue says that it is very beautiful there. There is a lot of dancing and singing, and girls dance at festivals. Akue tells the guys that Lily is the best dancer of all and also assures her friends that she could watch her friend dance forever. Sophia says it sounds fun. She adds that she would like to watch the two of them sing and dance. Akue reacts with a little embarrassment, but Yukino reassures her, saying that she is sure that Akue has a beautiful voice. The heroine does not have time to respond to her friend's compliment, as the heroes are surprised to find that some balls begin to appear out of the snow, which they initially call snowballs. But the very next moment, the ground cracks under the feet of the heroes. They assume that these may be monsters that have been hiding in the snow all this time. Chrono commands everyone to prepare for battle. But as soon as everyone took out their weapons and took up fighting positions, they discovered that these were strange, but very cute white and fluffy snow bunnies. At first, the characters stared blankly at what they saw. But after that, the girls attacked the rabbits, saying that they were very cute. The girls are very touched by him. And Chrono asks Yukino about what kind of animals they are, to which the girl answers him that they are white poo. She tells the main character that she has little data, so she doesn't know if these animals are dangerous or not, but she thinks it's okay. Well, Chrono notices that there are a lot more of these animals. Suddenly, the rabbits began to carry Sophia and Akue somewhere very quickly, so Chrono and Yukino had to run after the girls. After a while, the heroes find themselves in a place where these cute animals live. They bring various treats to the heroes, sing songs, and also arrange some small performances. Chrono asks his companions if all this is hospitality, to which Akue says she is sure they were hallucinating. And Yukino eats the delicacy he brought for both cheeks, saying that it is delicious for her. Chrono tells his companion that maybe she should slow down. Chrono asks Yukino if she understands what these creatures are saying. She says it's not much. One of the animals makes cute eyes at Akue, to which the girl tells him that they are in a hurry. But after looking at his face, she thinks about how cute they are, but she realizes that they can't stop here. And then Akue realizes that she is starting to feel sleepy, and she tells the guys about it. She assumes that this is because she is very comfortable here. But suddenly she realizes that this is a lullaby. And she screams at her friends that they can't sleep. She asks them to cover their ears, and she also thinks about drowning out the singing. The next moment, Akue realizes that it is too late since all her companions have already fallen asleep. She realizes that her situation is terrible. At this moment, the animals surround the heroes in a tight circle, preparing to attack. And suddenly, the animals all at once start jumping on the heroes, baring their little fangs and saying that they are very bad. At this time, Akue desperately tries to wake up her friends, but noticing that they are all fast asleep, the heroine takes a sword in her hands, with the idea that she must take care of them. But she realizes that there are too many animals, and Akue is scared. But the very next moment, Chrono punches the accumulated animals with his fist. Akue is happily surprised, and then asks the main character if he has woken up. But after a short observation, she is surprised to notice that Chrono is still asleep. Chrono, with a sweet and sleepy smile on his face, is briskly dealing with each rabbit. Akue, who is protecting Yukino and Sophia, cannot believe that Chrono is still asleep. After a while, Chrono says that it seemed to him that they all suddenly fell asleep. He also says he doesn't know if the animals were up to it. And then he apologizes to Akue, telling the girl that he let her fight alone. But she tells Chrono that he actually defeated them all in a dream. The hero is very much surprised by her words. After some thought, Chrono says that there were several cases when he set up camp in the woods in the backyard of the house, and waking up in the morning, he found several monsters lying next to him. Sophia adds that he, Chrono, is very good at it, but after a short conversation, Yukino switches his anger to the abusers. She tells them that it was quite brave of them to try to deceive them. She menacingly tells the animals that she never asks them. Sophia tells the girl that she scares her, and Chrono half-jokingly tells Akue that he thinks Yukino is just upset because the food was just a hallucination. A girl always takes food seriously. Yukino tries to squeeze one of the animals in her arms, but Sophia asks her to stop. She kneels down and asks the animal if he knows where the snow moon laurel is located. She tells him that if they tell, then they will leave the past in the past. And then Sophia asks them if they like her proposal. One of the animals looks at the girl with absolute incomprehension. It seems that he has absolutely no idea what they are demanding of him. The animal starts jumping, and the guys think that this means that he wants to tell them something. But watching his movements more and more carefully, they come to the conclusion that they have no idea what he is talking about. However, Yukino understood. She says that if you leave their lair and follow the ice feathers, there will be a cliff in the end. A snow laurel grows right from the cliff. Chrono is surprised to ask Yukino if she understands these animals, to which she replies that not much. And Sophia, noticing the joyful dance of the animal, tells the guys that she thinks Yukino understood everything correctly. Sophia, kneeling down, thanks the animal and then tells him that he should no longer do bad things, to which he seems to agree. The guys leave the lair of cute animals. Akue notices snowflakes, and Yukino says that the weather in the dungeon is changing. Sophia suggests that the team move on before the weather gets worse. The guys go in the direction indicated by them. The snow and distance make their outlines look more like shadows. And the animals, who saw off friends with sweet smiles, suddenly make evil faces. The guys are moving along the route indicated by them in a heavy snowstorm. Chrono tells everyone to follow him. Yukino notices that the snowstorm has quickly intensified, and Sophia says it's like someone doesn't want them to go any further. But the heroes only think that a snow laurel flower is waiting for them ahead. They want to take it to Lily as soon as possible. The guys keep walking, but Chrono suddenly stops Akue by grabbing her shoulder. There is a huge crack in the ground in front of them. The guys are wondering if this is the rock that the animals told them about. Stepping on the edge of the cliff, Akue realizes that she almost fell right through there, and then sincerely thanks the main character. He tells her that he understands her impulse to help her friend as soon as possible, but tells her that they should be more careful. Sophia thinks about what it means, that this flower is down there, but this slope is vertical and covered in ice. The team is thinking about how they can get down there. Chrono thinks about what he could do. And then he says that he thinks that it is possible to break the rock and jump down the fragments. Yukino tells the main character that this is impossible, and Akue reminds Chrono that they need to be very careful, but it seems Sophia has a safer idea. And indeed, the girl descends on her own wings, but Chrono, Yukino and Akue descend sitting astride a flock of bats. And when Sophia asks her friends about their flight, they tell their companion that it's amazing and everything is great for them. And Akue notes that using bats in such a situation is very smart. And Yukino notices that Sophia's wings have become much bigger than before. Chrono asks Sophia if she can now use the power of the demonic god, to which his interlocutor tells the hero that this is only a small part of what she can handle. And Chrono in response tells her that it's just amazing, and smiles happily, which makes Sophia a little embarrassed. Sophia tells Chrono that he can now take her anywhere with him. Chrono says that's how it is, and then Akue asks what she's talking about. And Yukino says that who knows. Suddenly, the guys realize that they see the bottom. Chrono notices that there is still ice and rocks there. Yukino says that maybe this place is hidden by magic, and suggests that the guys split up and look for it, and they don't go far apart. Akue draws attention to the fact that there is ice everywhere. The heroine wonders how anything can grow here at all. Sophia wonders what they should do, and thinking about the furry animal, she says that she would not like to believe that he did it. During the discussion, the characters realize that Yukino is not with them, and they wonder where she could have gone. Suddenly, Yukino looks out from around the corner. She calls the guys to follow her. Showing her companions the cave, Yukino tells them that she has found a place where they can go further. Looking at this crack, everyone thinks that this road will really lead them somewhere. Upon entering, Chrono notices that it is very dark inside. But as soon as they set foot, everything lit up. The heroes began to look around the area with great surprise, trying to understand what it was. The main character says that the stone and ice lit up. Yukino says she's seen similar spells in other dungeons that trigger light magic when you step into them. Yukino tells her companions that she thinks there is a high probability that there is something ahead, so she suggests they go ahead. Sophia notices that the dungeon is very beautiful. She compares this phenomenon with the stars that descended to Earth. And Akue says that dungeons aren't that dangerous, and that it's so exciting to see things that you don't usually see. The guys ask Akue what she means, to which the girl apologizes and tries to deny it, but the guys insist on answering their question. So Akue tells them that it's about the fluorescent worm that Lily showed her in the dungeon. The girl says that she was so afraid of the unknown that she did not see anything clearly. She says they just could have had more fun. And Yukino tells her that curiosity is exactly the reason why this is all happening. To which Chrono tells his companion that when Lily gets back on her feet, they will definitely return, to which Akue responds with agreement and a sweet smile. After some time, the guys go out to the lake. They notice that its surface is completely frozen, and Akue notices that there is something on the other side of the lake. She says there's something there, but it's hard to see because of the fog, and Chrono tells his companions that everything is fine, which means that they will walk on the ice to the opposite side of this frozen lake. The guys start running across the lake, but here, some strange shadow floats under them. No one pays attention to it. There is some very dangerous predator lurking under the water, and it seems to have noticed the presence of the heroes. Running across the lake, the guys see a tree in front of them, consisting entirely of ice. The girls notice that this tree looks very much like a sculpture, and Yukino points out that flowers grow on it. Chrono tells his team that he is sure that this is the tree they are looking for. And here they are, the flowers of the snow moon laurel. The guys are very happy, telling each other that they are all well done. And Akue is even more pleased that now they can help Lily with this tree. But then Sophia notices something in Chrono's hands. He tells his interlocutor that Lisa gave him some kind of strange shape. Before they left, she told her that this was because, according to the book, the snow laurel flower melts very quickly. Sophia realizes that the flower will not be effective if it melts, and Yukino tells her friends that she is coming down now and will bring them a flower, for which everyone thanks her. The girl quickly and deftly climbs the trunk of a tree and finds the same flower. Taking it in her hands, she joyfully shows it to the guys, as if telling them about the completion of the mission. Chrono praises Yukino, telling her that she is doing well, but the next second the main character notices something. He is surprised to note that the flower managed to melt in Yukino's hands, which greatly surprises the girl. It turns out that not only the flowers, but also the trunks and branches, melt at just a touch, and Akue notices that this tree is very sensitive. Chrono goes up to the tree and touches it, and then concludes that he can't touch it even with gloves on, and Akue says in frustration that these flowers are right in front of them. The main character suddenly notices that the ice does not melt from Akue's touch. The hero carefully examines the girl's scolding and thinks about it. Then he remembers that Eiyuu and Lily are representatives of aquatic people, so they have the ability to change their body temperature, and according to the environment on the ice lake, their body becomes cold. After thinking about it, the main character turns to Akue, while the girl looks at the hero with complete incomprehension. She has absolutely no idea what he wants from her. The hero, holding her hands, tells her that he is not sure, but he thinks that only she can take this flower so that it does not melt. Chrono tells the girl that with the help of the properties of her body, she can become as cold as this flower. Akui, after listening carefully to the hero, under the eyes of Sophia and Yukino, makes a decision. The girl is concentrating on telling her companions what this flower will bring. She picks up a special flask that Lisa gave to Chrono. The guys thank the girl and ask her about her well-being. Akue says that everything is fine and that she will cope with everything, and Sophia wishes the heroine good luck. The guys support their friend by telling her that they are counting on her, and the girl is already going to get the flower necessary to save Lily's life. Suddenly, one of the pieces of ice under Akue's feet begins to crack. The girl is afraid that it could be an earthquake, and desperately clings to the trunk of a snow moon tree so as not to fall. Sophia, Yukino, and Chrono are also scared by the sudden jolt, wondering if it's an earthquake. The main character thinks about the fact that these vibrations look like someone hit him very hard. After a moment, the guys notice that the snow moon laurel tree begins to collapse, and Akue is frightened to realize that it is crumbling and melting. She begins to despair because of this and kneels down. Chrono suddenly realizes the reason for the vibration that has occurred. He points out to the guys that the ice in the lake is cracking, and that there is something there. Suddenly, the ice in the lake finally cracks, and right in front of the guys there appears some strange and very large monster, with giant claws on its powerful white paws. Noticing the appearance of a giant dangerous monster, the guys together warn each other, and Chrono asks his teammates to be careful. And when a strange big beast starts attacking, the girls jump aside, and Chrono attacks the huge monster in response with his chains. Pieces of the snow tree continue to break off and melt before our eyes, and Akue does not give up trying to reach them and collect flowers. As if reading her friend's mind, Chrono tells her that he will restrain the monster. And after these words, Chrono throws his chains on the monster. He wraps his paws and evil muzzle, and as a result, the whole monster, like a mummy, turns out to be wrapped in chains of the main character. The main character commands Aqua to head forward while he holds the monster tightly. The girl agrees, and is already beginning to fulfill her mission. Sophia asks Yukino about what kind of monster it is, to which her interlocutor replies to the heroine that in the book that she and Lisa researched, they are called blonde monsters. She tells Sophia that this is, so to speak, the evolution of a fluffy and cute poo, and that he is turning from a small one into such a big and scary monster. At this moment, Sophia notices the same poo animal at her feet. After a while, there are more and more of these cute little animals around them. Chrono tells the girls that he did not know at all that they, Pooh, live here too, to which Sophia responds to the main character with disagreement. She tells Chrono that this is the same Pooh she was talking to recently. Yukino confirms that this is indeed who he is. Looking at the same animal, Chrono asks his companions about what he is talking about. At the same time, Yukino translates the words of Pooh to his teammates. He says he came across someone who said that their master's nest was surrounded by a snow moon laurel tree, and that he was connected to their nest. He said that they would have gone further, met with the owner, and surrounded these travelers. Sophia is disappointed, because she thought that she and that animal were able to understand each other. She thought that he told her goodbye, that he would not do anything wrong anymore, but it turned out that everything was quite the opposite. At the same time, the main character holds the monster with all his strength. He tells his companions that he will continue to do this, and Yukino asks Chrono to be careful. She tells him that if this monster gets out of control, then she is sure that the moon snowflower will not stand it. She tells Chrono that even if he can keep the monster under control and attack it, even his own attack can cause an earthquake here. Chrono tells the heroine that in this case, he will hold it until Akue gets them a flower. The hero is now in the most concentrated state. Yukino tells the hero that he and Sophia will keep Pooh until then. Chrono tells them that he is very worried about them. At this time, little Pooh is advancing. Yukino shouts to Sophia to be careful. At this time, a huge number of animals are flying towards the girl. Sophia and Yukino are epic and easy to deal with these cute animals. The girls say it's heartbreaking, but the bad boys need to be punished, and that they won't let them get close to the Chrono. Chrono tells the girls that this is encouraging for both of them. Then the heroes notice that the white monster is already upstairs. Chrono is trying to loudly warn Sophia, Yukino, and Akue. The main character realizes that he hates it very much when he can't fight in such battles, and he continues to restrain the big monster with his chains. Akue notices the monsters approaching, but says she can't stop because she still has quite a bit left. But as soon as the girl gets to the top, she realizes that 3 small Pooh have already settled there. The animals make vicious faces, showing their intentions to act. However, instead of attacking the girl, they head upstairs to the snow moon flowers. Therefore, the girl takes her saber out of its scabbard, but because of the haste and one of the animals, her weapon flies out of her hands. It lands with the blade in the ice right next to Chrono, and the main character is distracted by his worries about Akue. The girl realizes that she did not get there. She begins to think about what she should do now. She suggests solving this problem with magic, but the heroine is afraid that she will not succeed. At this moment, Akue calls Chrono. He tells her that he is sure that she will be able to do it. He says that they all believe in her success, and Yukino and Sophia too. Akue is touched by these words of the protagonist, and she stretches out her hand to release her magic. But Akue can't believe in his own success due to the fact that Lily is not around. Therefore, when a girl casts an ice-forming spell, absolutely nothing happens, and this scares Akue a lot. The girl thinks about what she is doing now. She notices that her hands are shaking very much. She is scared. She thinks that she cannot do anything alone. She realizes that she is absolutely not sure of herself. She also thinks forlornly about the fact that she has absolutely no other weapon right now. Akue plunges into his memories. She remembers how Lily's jewelry fell. It was a crystal from her hometown. She remembers Lily asking her a long time ago why Akue doesn't sing in front of everyone, because she adores that song. Akue tells her friend that she can't do it because she's not sure she can do it, and then repeats her words about insecurity. Lily tells her that it's okay then, and that since she doesn't have self-confidence, then she doesn't need to. Lily tells her friend that she had it too. Lily says that she understands Akue. She says that she is as confident in her as she is in her own voice. She says she has complete confidence in her. Returning to the present moment, Akue replays in his head Lily's words about her confidence in her, and after that, the girl casts a spell of a squall of ice, and ice trails form around her. These trails freeze all the Pooh in the vicinity. All these animals were frozen in a motionless state inside the pointed blocks of ice created by Akue. Yukino and Sophia tell their friend that it's amazing that she was able to freeze them all at once, and Chrono happily praises Akue's actions, telling her that she did well. It turns out that Akue herself was very surprised by the result achieved, and the girl, looking at her own hands, is very happy that she succeeded. Here the heroine remembers about the flower that she needs to get to save her friend. Akue begins to climb higher and higher up the snow tree, and noticing the snow laurel flower, she stretches out her hand to it. Saying out loud that this is all she has left, Akue creates comfortable conditions for this flower at arm's length so that it does not immediately melt. And when the flower lands directly on the palm of the heroine's outstretched hand, she thinks that only it will not melt, and even closes her eyes in fear. After a while, she carefully descends to her friends, carefully carrying a capsule with a snow moon laurel flower in her hands, with trembling and tears in her eyes, telling the guys that she has it. Friends sincerely praise their aqua companion for being able to get the necessary flower and use her own magic, even when she was very worried about Lily. And the main character, with a smile on his face, speaks perfectly. He understands that now he cannot hold back against that giant monster. Chrono removes his chains from him, and the enraged monster, after such a long time of imprisonment, finally got a chance to attack. He's getting ready to pounce right on the main character, when a huge monster attacks Chrono, covering the hero with a shockwave. Sophia and Ikue begin to worry a lot, but Yukino, who clearly understands the great power of the main character, only smiles silently and intently watches the ongoing battle. Freeing himself from the monster's shockwave, Chrono jumps high and sends the big guy straight into the ice wall, telling him that he gets what he deserves, and cracks appeared on the wall from the impact. And after that, the hero, with a victorious smile on his face, with a whistle, sends a giant monster straight to the floor of the dungeon with just one of his strong blows, from which the edge of the lake cracked, as well as the wall. After his resounding victory, the main character talks about how good it is to fight when nothing restricts or restrains him. The girls call Chrono, who was standing in the distance. They run up to the main character with smiles on their faces, and waving their arms, rejoicing at his crushing victory over the huge, evolved B-kyuu. Looking at the reaction of the girls, the guy happily smiles back at them, and then he tells his companions that it's time for them to go back to the castle of the Demon King. Upon their return, Lily successfully eats a snow moon laurel flower, thanks to which she is recovering very quickly, and soon, Lily, to the delight of her friends, had already returned to her normal life. And the Demon King, Lisa, and all her classmates have been exhausted from the accumulated events all this time. But they were all happy to see Lily healthy and full of vitality again, and Ikue was so glad that she didn't stop crying for a while. The main character is sure that Ikue cried for a very long time. But according to the main character, sooner or later, Ikue, who was very worried all this time, also began to smile radiantly and enjoy life. And the beautiful Lily and Ikue sang a lot and very beautifully, and danced in front of their friends in the curly fabric of their festive outfits. Their friends watched their beautiful performance with fascination, and the Demon King Lisa noticed that this is what this dance of the water people looks like. And the Demon King, along with Professor Dante, came to the conclusion that this dance is simply mesmerizing and looks great. Yukino tells Sophia and Chrono that Ikue is just beautiful, and her interlocutor adds to Yukino's words that both Lily and Ikue are such great singers and dancers, which Chrono mildly agrees with. After a while, Ikue approaches Lily with the intention of returning to her the crystal she had previously lost from their hometown. She hands it to her friend, holding it with 2 fingers. After recognizing her item, Lily thanks her friend for picking up this crystal when they were still in that ill-fated 10th dungeon. To thank Lily, Ikue replies to her friend that this is exactly the thing that helped her find the strength to overcome her own fears. And Lily sweetly tells her interlocutor that in that case, she can keep this crystal. To which the girl tells her that everything is fine and that he has already managed to become just like her own. She tells Lily that she had her share of confidence in herself and in her own abilities. Lily says that it's good then, and with a joyful smile, she takes back her once-lost crystal. Suddenly, the girls, Lily and Aqua, are called by a crowd of friends, telling them that someone wants to see them. Ikue takes her friend's hand and with a sweet smile on her face tells her that it's time for both of them to go. Lily responds to these words with the same sweet smile, completely sharing her friend's feelings. And the girls, holding hands, go together towards their friends.